Greetings and welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to episode 326 of the Words About Games podcast, the weekly news, culture, and gaming podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, and I'm joined this week by the only man who sits on this side for some reason on Discord. Everybody else sits on this side. Vits Patel.
Howdy.
Howdy.
How are we doing, team?
It throws me off because everyone else I'm on a Discord call with to do like the podcast with is over here. But for some reason, when you and I do a Discord call, you're over here.
I'm to your media right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. It's weird.
That's okay.
So like,
makes me that little bit more special.
I'll do a bit and I'll just be like, what? No, hang on. Where are you? Shit, help. Vits, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We've had some technical issues this week where my PC tried to explode and catch on many different kinds of fire, so we've had to do a bit of a rebuild. But aside from that, life is good. So really still loving the creative vibe that we're doing with D&D, and yes, looking forward to getting back into the swing of things after a couple of weeks off.
Nice. D&D is game shows, right? But like adapted to D&D.
Yeah, so it was because so the party was placed inside a temple, which I fashioned to be a dungeon. But instead of, so to mix up all the fights and things and the regular puzzles that I throw in, so whether it be riddles or so on and so forth, I did variations on 90s and 80s TV game shows, but with the D&D theme. So they finished that run in the temple around about 3 weeks ago at this point. But there was like 5 different game shows that I ran, and thankfully they went down really, really well. So I'm very happy with that. And now they're in the end game of the campaign, so they're about to go up against the big bad. And we'll see what happens. So they do have an assignment while we've taken a bit of a short break to start working on a little bit of an epilogue, which I'm sure they're all doing.
Sure. To be fair, one is the big bad Bob Barker.
He's not. No. Although maybe there will be for the next campaign, which I've already asked when that's starting.
He's like the only game show host I really know, and it's not because I know of The Price is Right. It's because of Happy Gilmore.
Okay, so there's Happy Gilmore, but then also from How I Met Your Mother.
There is How I Met Your Mother. Bob Barker, yeah. But I do say The Price is Wrong, bitch. Like in my life.
Yeah, that gif of him just going, "Well, we're waiting," is just timeless.
That whole sequence is just one of my faves. It's a good film from the golden years of Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I think probably one of the only ones that I really, really enjoy of his. I can't say I've seen too many of them, but Happy Gilmore is right up there. Especially with like Carl Weathers and Chubbs and Got My Hand Back. Can't beat it.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast? I think I can quote the whole film. I think I could genuinely quote the whole film, but I won't. I had a second more like relevant follow-up, but I wanted to ask the Bob Barker question first.
I mean, I respect that.
Oh yeah, the thing with like if you asked me to do an epilogue and I was in your D&D campaign, I would do it immediately and then like forget about it until like for some reason, like because we finished a D&D campaign a couple of months ago and like we haven't started a new one yet.
Yeah,
Keith's doing a one shot. Keith's my DM. He's sometimes he was one of the founder members of the podcast, and every now and again he comes back. He's doing a one shot because Moody wants to play. So he's doing like a one shot. It'll probably be like a few sessions, but so Moody could play. But like we've also been talking about the next like main campaign, and I've finally got to create a new character.
Yes,
which I hate doing. I love creating a new character. Hate saying goodbye to the old character.
Yeah,
but
I've
already created the character bit.
Okay, well, that's good. You're one of the 5% of people who actually gets tasks done immediately, rather than the 95% of us who wait until the very last second and then cram. But it's one of those. So I'm running a one shot for some of my friends as well, who are all brand new to D&D, and they want to play with their partner and a few of their family friends that they want to get on board. So I'm looking forward to adapting some of the content that I've written already. And then putting that together in a kind of a 2-hour one shot, and then if they enjoy what they do, then maybe we'll run that campaign alongside anything that I'll do with the ethnic squares or whatever they decide to call themselves in the next campaign.
Ethnic squares.
Yeah, that's thanks to your friend of mine, Kumail. They will forever be known as the ethnic squares.
Yeah, you came on and you were like the last time, and you were like ethnic squares, and I was like, "Hi, ethnic squares," and then like I think I said it on a podcast weeks and weeks later. Moody, I said, "I finally get I get it. Like it's just I get the name." Took me weeks. But yeah, that's cool, man. Like I'm perpetually what I like to think of myself is like I'm perpetually like a new player in that I've played D&D since I was in high school.
Yeah.
But none of the rules or like any of the way that the game works actually ever sinks in. So like these last 2 campaigns we've been playing pretty much steady since 2017.
Yeah.
So 5th edition. So
do you mean to say? Sorry, do you mean to say that your D&D campaign has lasted longer than the last premiership of our Prime Minister?
It's lasted longer than a couple of Prime Ministers.
That's it.
Yeah, we did 2 campaigns. It was back-to-back thing because it was the same characters across both campaigns. And I'm trying to get Keith to do a trilogy. I'm like,
nice.
Everything's a good trilogy. Everything's a trilogy.
Well, that's what I wanted to do with a current campaign kind of thing. So I ran one, then we had a little bit of a break and ran another. Then this is the third. So to put this whole campaign to a trilogy end, and then put all the notes into one book, and then that's going to be the gift to each and every player.
I remember this.
And
yes.
So it's going to be knocking on the door of like 200,000 words by the time I'm done. I think.
I can't wait to buy this book. I'm going to buy it.
I'll send you a copy. I don't think I'm going to put it for sale. So I think if I'm producing some, I might just produce like 20 and then send them out to nearest and dearest and all 20. The rest of it. So,
wow, that's rarer than an NFT. Oh, I'm so touched.
You said the buzzword.
I'll put it on the shelf. I'll put it on the shelf of books. So it'll always be behind me. But yeah, you hear that, Keith? Fitz agrees. Trilogies, they're the way forward. But. But no, like
3's the magic number, they say.
Yeah, so like I've been playing 5th edition more or less nonstop for like 5 years at this point, and like I still don't know how anything works.
I know, but then neither do I. And sometimes we have to ask around for the rules, and sometimes we have to look it up. But there's no ways of playing it wrong. It's just whatever hasn't been agreed as house rules or whatever it happens to be, kind of thing. And the role of a DM, at least in my opinion, kind of thing, is to reward ingenuity and creativity. So if you want to do something that's technically against the rules, but it's a cool thing that's going to happen, then sure. Who's going to say, oh, you're not playing D&D, right? Well, do them. I'm
sure, like, Keith does this a lot for me. Like, I'm sure he does this a lot for me.
Yeah, just fudge the rules every now and then.
Because, like I like role playing. That's my thing. Like I love like having the conversations or like doing the thing and like being in character and stuff. So when we get to combat, like I'm always just like, it's combat. Like, and I mean, a part of it was probably I was playing a fighter. It's like, what are you gonna do on your turn? I'm gonna swing my sword at them, hit them. So I would constantly like figure out what's the coolest possible thing I could do.
Yeah, you can use the environment, see what the map is doing.
Yeah. We did like a final boss fight. My character could, for circumstances that are too long and complicated to get into, my character could run up walls. By the end of the last campaign, so we were fighting a phoenix.
Nice.
It's like the final boss of the campaign, and it was like flying around, and I was like, I'm down here with a fucking sword, right? I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do here? So like, and like, it was decimating like everybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking, I need to get involved here. Like, I'm DPS, but because I'm like the only, I wasn't by the time like the second campaign rolled around, but at the time, I like always having my mentality where it's like I'm the tank, even though I'm not a tank. Like I take shitloads of damage, but it was like, hey, I need to like tick you off. So I ran up the wall of this tower and then I stood on the tower, and then I just started screaming abuse. I started calling him Big Bird. And started making Sesame Street jokes and started like screaming abuse at this phoenix, and then I'd ready actions all the time, so it would like fly past and I'd fucking hit it. And then I can't remember what it was gonna do, but I was like, I need to fucking make an attack. I need to make an attack on it, and it's now hovering over here. So my character has a grappling hook like Batman.
Actually,
I like got it from an old friend or whatever, and I was like, cool, right? I'm gonna fucking grapple across, and then like like swing, and then like I just basically the most ridiculous fucking like thing where I just hit it twice as I was going past and like killed it and then fell to the ground.
Like a superhero three-point landing.
Yeah, well, I got featherfall, so.
Oh, okay, there you go, there you go.
But it was good, and then the thing crashed on top of me, and everybody thought I was dead for a bit. Because I let Keith believe that. I said to Keith, like, I texted him saying, "Don't, whether I'm alive or dead, don't tell anyone. Like, let's build the drama up, right?
Yeah.
Just roll with the drama. It's like I might be dead, I might not be dead.
No, great stuff.
I do like to like feed him as much as I possibly can.
No, 100%. Yeah, so that's what I like try to do with our party as well, which is why I want their input towards an epilogue, and then obviously I'll take whatever they give me in terms of content and then flesh that out and tie it all into something on in the realm of cohesive. So we'll see how it turns out. But it's one of these where I've just asked them to like a 1-page each in terms of what would happen to their character, say 3 months on, depending on whether they live or die, kind of thing.
Sure.
So yeah. So I think it'll just be a nice way to put the whole campaign and have a nice neat bow on it, and maybe sunset these characters. But then, there's nothing to say that I can't bring these characters back in the next one as well. So
yeah, of course. You know what's even better than a trilogy? A quadrilogy. You hear that, Keith? No, it's cool. Like I love. You need that closure. Like you with that character for so long. It can't just end at the boss fight, right? Like you do the boss fight and then the boss goes down and then credits.
Yeah, there needs to be some tangible reward for being the big bad and getting the thing. And
yeah, right. Exactly. You get it. One day we're going to D&D together. It's going to be amazing.
We are.
Ah, man, I'm still sick. I know I've already told you this, but I don't think I've said this on live, like in the recorded. So I better let you. I'm still sick.
It's all good. I mean, did people realize from watching last week that you're still ill?
I don't. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I did tell like a 10-minute story about being sick at the beginning of last week's podcast, and then that was like at the tail end of it.
This can be your quadrilogy of you were sick last week, you were sick this week.
I just got to keep going another 2 weeks. Yeah, great.
That's it.
No, because I got better. So I was getting better. And then by like Tuesday, Wednesday, I was like, I'm pretty good. Like, lingers a little bit on the throat, and you get like, it just lingers a little bit. But I was like, apart from that, like, energy's back. I can think again. And then Thursday, I just went, oh, it's back. But with different symptoms.
Nice.
So it was a whole other thing. It just mixed it up. So now I don't know whether I've been sick for the last like week and a half with the same thing, or if I got sick again immediately after being sick the first time with something different. So now we're gonna have to deal with that. I'm sorry, Vitz, but
fair enough.
the first podcast you hear, I put my contact lenses in the wrong way around, and I fucking changed them on the fly. And this time, it's like I'm sick. We don't know. I don't know how long into the podcast I'm going to be able to hold things together.
One of these days, I'm going to join the podcast, and I'm going to ask you how you are, and you're going to say right as rain, and nothing's going to ail you.
Nothing bad is happening.
That's it.
I'm fine. But today is not that day. Oh. Should we start the show?
Let's get into it.
Cool. This is the Words About Games podcast. Every Monday, you can get a video version of the show on youtube.com/wordsaboutgamesuk or an audio version on a variety of platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. There are timestamps also in the description wherever you get your podcast. And if you'd like to support the show or our content directly, buy us a coffee over at coffee.com/wordsaboutgames. Lastly, if you want to hang out with us while we play some games, head over to twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. If I ever am healthy ever again, I might actually get back to a regular streaming schedule, and that'll be fun for everybody. Oh, I was supposed to have a Dishonored 2 video out, like in my head this week, like this Friday, because I remember saying I had a date in my head for my Dishonored 2 video, and it was this Friday. And now I haven't worked on it for like 2 weeks. I've been too sick.
But then, you got to give yourself a break as well. I know that's the hardest thing to do, and it's impossible to take your own advice. in terms of sell some slack, but when it comes to yourself, like you never do it.
I mean, I've taken the break, but it's just that thing of just like, man, I just want to finish my video. But I think I showed you the thing I made, the graphic that I made. Yeah, so like I did that completely lucid and like completely like with all of my mental faculties intact. I could only imagine what I would create if I tried to like edit a chapter without that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the break. Because I feel like you can only really put that kind of thing in small doses. Like,
yes.
I'm building up this sequence so much and everyone's going to be really disappointed when they see it. That's not that unhinged. Awesome. No, it is. It is that unhinged. I tried telling that story to Moody last week when I was talking about being sick, and he was like, I haven't watched it yet. And I was like, thanks. Thanks for this. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the support, podcast co-host of many years. I love you, Moody. I'm just kidding. Anyway, we do things slightly different. Last week, me and Moody came up with a whole new idea or way of doing the podcast, and then I ran it past him in Messenger, and then he was like, hey, what if we did it like this? And then he went, yeah, that's good. And then he went, I'm not going to be there. And I went, great. Excellent. That's fantastic. But we're going to start with the main story, Vits. And the main story this week is that Konami is reviving Silent Hill with 5 new projects. This is from James Batchelor over at GamesIndustry.biz. He writes, after years of rumors, Konami has finally dusted off its popular horror brand Silent Hill with the announcement of 5 new projects. The Japanese publisher gave the first details for each during a digital presentation, not only revealing multiple new Silent Hill video games, but also ventures into other forms of entertainment. And then it says these included, as if to say, like, it's just going to talk about some of them, but the story then talks about all of them. So I feel like these included is... It's interesting wording. But these included Silent Hill 2 Remake. The headline news of the presentation was a remake of 2001's Silent Hill 2, now in development for PlayStation 5 and PC. The game is being developed by Bloober Team, the studio behind acclaimed horror series Layers of Fear, which is working with the series regular artist Masahiro Ito and composer Akira Yamaoka. The second project, Silent Hill Townfall, was revealed with a teaser trailer. Spin-off Silent Hill Townfall is being developed in partnership with No Code Studios, the indie developer behind horror hits Observation, In Stories Untold, and publisher Annapurna Interactive. The third one, Silent Hill F, is the work of Neobards Entertainment, a Taiwan-based studio that was founded in February 2017. The game's story will be written by Ryukishi O7, a Japanese visual novel creator, best known for stories around psychological and supernatural horror. That's good. Silent Hill Ascension, which is described as an interactive streaming series. Silent Hill Ascension is a collaboration between Bad Robot Games, Behavior Interactive, GenVid Entertainment, the studio behind The Walking Dead Last Mile, a, quote, massively interactive live event, end quote, and DJ2 Entertainment, the company behind the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. And J.J. Abrams. This will enable audience... yeah, I realized it wasn't in there. This will enable the audience to collectively decide where the narrative leads and will be made available on, quote, multiple platforms, end quote. And lastly, Return to Silent Hill. Konami announced a new movie adaptation of the series. Return to Silent Hill is being developed by horror film director Christopher Gantz, who worked on the original Silent Hill movie that debuted in 2006. No release dates were given for these, with Konami promising more details, quote, at a later date, end quote.
So Konami, remember, they have video games on their books.
We have this thing called Silent Hill, guys. What's that? It's a pachinko machine. Maybe we should do something else with it.
The eternal optimist in me was kind of questioning, right, okay, did Konami just say, right, everybody hates us right now because what we did to Kojima-san, and do we need to just wait like a decade before we do anything?
They went to Winchester and waited for it all to blow over.
Well, this is it. But yeah, shout out to Konami. Silent Hill F. What a name.
F.
And then, yeah, we got Silent Hill Townfall, or Towerfall, as I read that to begin with, because I read it a little bit too quickly. Yeah, sure. But I saw the trailer for Silent Hill 2 Remake. One of these Super Sega games, which I never play, but I did in fact go to see the original Silent Hill movie in theaters for some reason.
Sure.
And
it's me too.
Yeah.
I share that pain.
So I remember Pyramid Head, and that's pretty much all I remember.
Because there's that one bit in the movie, right, where Pyramid Head rips some girl's skin off, and it's like that's
Yes.
the only part of the movie anyone remembers because it's just, what the fuck did I just see?
Yeah, I would say like this trailer opens and like the first thing they show is like this giant cockroach crawling along the floor. I'm like, nope, I'm out.
I saw
No, thank
that
you.
and I was like, in my head, right, I knew it was a Silent Hill 2 remake by Bloober Team. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, because the cockroach crawl on the floor, I was like, is this meant to re-evoke PT? Like, is that really where you want to go right now? You want to make people remember the PT? But apparently, yeah, they did. So is that your like full?
That's my full
history,
lineage with the series.
with Silent Hill.
So, so for like traditional scary games, it's not something that I've usually dipped in.
Sure.
But I'm aware of Silent Hill just tangentially, kind of thing.
Sure.
But I'm excited that people are excited for this. So we have fantastic cosplayers like Jessica Negri out here doing her Pyramid Head work recently, and they're super stoked to play it. We have fabulous people at Twitch like Mary Kish, and they'll be replaying this with their friend Nina as well. So I'm stoked that they are stoked for this, and I just hope that it's good because I understand Bloober Team don't have the finest of histories when it comes to the titles that they put out. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yes. Let's dig into that. Yeah, so I've my history with Silent Hill is I've played all the games. Like right. I played them as they were coming out because as a teenager I really wanted to do as much psychological damage to myself as possible just to set myself up for later in life.
We thought, high school isn't good enough. We need to crank this up a little bit more.
You know what? I'm not getting enough trauma from high school. I need to really crank this shit. All right, well, give me the scary games. What's this Silent Hill thing? That seems pretty scary, and it was very scary, yes. So I played all of them. I was going to list them, and I was like, I've played all of them. Like 1 to PT.
It's like reading the story, and obviously when you first get to developer, it's like, okay, they've just misspelled Bluepoint. No, the Bluepoint is studio you go to for remakes, not these people kind of thing.
I would love a Bluepoint remake of Silent Hill 2. I'm not particularly keen on a Bloober Team Silent Hill remake.
No. Imagine at Game Awards this year if Bluepoint comes out and said, look, we're actually remaking Metal Gear Solid with Kojima-san's blessing. Just to really stick the two fingers up to Konami.
Irony. The irony would be thick and delicious.
That's it.
No, so Bloober Team, like Silent Hill 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I'll say that right now. I've replayed that game about 15 or 20 times. I used to replay it on my original Xbox.
Wow.
Is where I had that game with the massive controller and stuff. And I would just play it just whenever I felt like. The Duke, yeah. Like I know that game inside and out. Like I can watch I watched the remake trailer because I watched the transmission live, and I was like, I recognized every single piece of that trailer and where it was, what was happening, what was happening in the game at the time. Like,
as you understand it, is it a shot-for-shot remake for a better term?
So what they've shown so far is pretty much like everything that was there was in Silent Hill 2 in the original game. Like, from like gameplay, like dialogue, cutscenes, like everything that they showed is something remade from the original. Because like I said, I recognized a lot. Like, little differences. His car door's not open anymore at the beginning. Like, what the fuck? But no, like I played. So as far as Bloober Team goes, I've played several of their games. And not liked any of them.
Okay, right. So
I played Layers of Fear, and it's a game that relies very heavily on jump scares. After this that happened, there was a clip from Layers of Fear of someone streaming Layers of Fear that went a bit viral on Twitter of the kid the running into the wall. That's really funny. It's supposed to be scary, but it's just hilarious. And then like because you can just trigger it by walking backwards and forwards across the trigger point, so it just keeps happening. It's like, I've played Blair Witch because it's Blair Witch. I'm a big Blair Witch Project fan. I didn't play The Medium, but Moody did.
So our good friend Philip J. Woodward, he streamed all on Medium, so much so that the idiom in chat was to call it the tedium because it was so long and drawn out.
Yeah, Moody reviewed it while I was sitting with him talking to him about it. It didn't sound great. No. which, you know, like Bloober Team making a mid horror game is not a surprise to me. Like all of their horror games have been mid for me personally. But like the thing that really jumped out at me as far as the medium goes, and again, I'm talking to people who have played it and not played it myself, is like how they handled the story that they were telling and how they handled things like mental health and trauma and abuse. And that's the part, like, because they've got the guys, right? They've got Ito and they've got Yamaoka on board for the Silent Hill 2 remake. Like, they'll, like, with their direction, I'm hoping Bloober Team could make a good horror game. Because they've got the blueprint of one of the greatest horror games ever made. But my issue comes with the way they handled those story beats in Silent Hill in the medium. And then that, like, no spoilers for Silent Hill 2, because, like, obviously now I know it's a 20-year-old game, but obviously it's quite relevant now. So I won't do any spoilers. But those themes that they completely mishandled to an offensive degree in the medium, they might need to handle them a little bit better.
Yes,
is all I'm gonna say. They might be quite relevant to Silent Hill 2 remake.
Well, hopefully, like Ito Sandon will be on board to have final sign off on all the various different bits and pieces. And as you say, kind of thing, they've got, if it is a shot for shot remake, then they've got the kind of blueprint, as you say, for the story and the plot beats and things like that. So it's gonna be impressive if they mess this up.
I hope they don't, because I know tons of people, because Silent Hill 2 is from many generations back, and a lot of people haven't played it, like yourself. And I just want people to know why this game is awesome.
100%.
So, like, I hope they don't fuck it up. Like, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I hope Konami put them on a tight leash. I can't believe I just said that, but like, yeah, if it's more or less a shot for shot remake with like updated visuals, updated graphics, updated gameplay, like, they might not screw this up. And
hypothetical question for you. So let's say Konami doesn't do a Square Enix and put, wild sales targets against this that they're never going to achieve. Say if this sells well enough for them to sign off on another remake of a Silent Hill game, what would you have them do?
Oh God, another remake of a Silent Hill game. See, that's a tough.
But in the same vein that Resident Evil have been doing, we'll get to that a little bit later, kind of thing. But in terms of they've obviously remade the original, and then 2 and 3 more recently, kind of thing. And 3 was a little less well received than 2, just because of the nature of the original games, kind of thing. But what would you have them do?
Don't get me started on Resident Evil 3. I made a whole last video.
That's it.
What would I have? I don't see. In my head, I would be like, they got to remake Silent Hill 3. Because that. But. So 2 is its own game, and it's a standalone game.
Yeah.
3 is a sequel to 1. So you can't remake Silent Hill 3 without also remaking 1. So I'd say, like, you probably got to remake 1 next. Or both. Just make it one big, massive thing. Double pack. Are those still a thing? People still make double packs? Remember the orange
we'll call it Silent Hill 1+3.
Yeah, let's do it. And then it's a remake of 4. Which is an unfairly maligned game. Silent Hill 4 is actually pretty good.
What subtitle that one? Was it called The Room or something?
The Room, yeah. Because the thing was, you were locked in your room, and it was like that was the place you went back to, like a save point. The first, and it was really, really good. The first half of Silent Hill 4 was probably my favorite Silent Hill experience. Badly let down by the second half, but not badly enough that I would be like, that game was terrible. Like, no, it was still pretty good, and it had some real high points. And one day I'm going to make a video about the entire series because I need to get it out of my system.
Yeah, so you need to just get it out of your brain space.
I do. 100%. Silent Hill, I need to get these Silent Hill thoughts out. Like, I need people to care. Like, no one cares. That's the problem. I could sit in a room with people and be like, Silent Hill for like 2 hours, and no one cares. Everyone's like, Silent Hill, is that the one with the zombies in the mansion? And I'm like, no, you fucking god damn it. There was more than one survival horror game in the 90s.
Only one that really sold.
I'll concede that point.
There you go.
I mean, for the rest of the projects, Townfall looks cool, but only because I've played the developers' previous games and they're good.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about the game, but Observation was a great game.
So it's the Ascension project is the one that speaks to me in terms of obviously J.J. Abrams' studio Bad Robot of getting on board and what they're going to do, because obviously like the Sonic the Hedgehog movies were widely popular. They didn't do too much for me, but I wasn't necessarily the target audience in terms of that. But I'll be interested to see what they do with the massively interactive live event type things.
Was the tagline? It was like share your trauma or something. It was just
yes,
like, it does not sound like something I want to do with a bunch of other gamers. I have a podcast for that.
Yeah, is it going to be like? Is it going to be like a collective playthrough of like Until Dawn, where people are voting on which option to lead, send characters down, and that kind of thing? So I'm interested more in the meta of that rather than the actual final product of experiencing that story.
Yeah,
so I'm just
I want to see how it works, as opposed to necessarily being like, yeah, this sounds great. It's more like, how's this going to work? I'm interested.
But also, there are a lot of companies working in collaboration with each other. So it's either they're all going to try and push their own ideas through and it's going to be a complete mess, or a lot of these studios are going to get dropped from the project.
Well, because it's an interactive streaming series, I imagine it's like quite a bigger undertaking. Like if you make a TV show, right, you don't need to like worry about player choice, right? Like you're making The Witcher, right, and Geralt fucking goes to hunt a vampire instead of a werewolf. Like, you don't need to worry about it, right? Like, you get to be in control of that, whereas in this it's like we've got to account for all the player choices that happen. What if they go down this door? What if they do something really stupid? We have to account for all of it.
What if they go on a huge side quest to recover a woman's frying pan? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Is that been in The Witcher yet? Like, I haven't watched.
Yes. I'm not. To be fair, I'm not sure if it's made the TV show.
Damn.
But I'm hoping.
I think I gotta put that in the TV show. Like,
just here, your frying pan.
An episode about the frying pan.
Yeah, the epic journey it goes on.
Sure.
From hand to hand. Great stuff.
Great. Yeah, like, and there's a film as well, but like, I'm gonna be honest, Fitz, like, I don't know if I've seen a good video game movie.
Oh no, I mean, my favorite one still remains the Jean-Claude Van Damme Street Fighter, only because it's so campy. It's actually amazing. I mean, in terms of a video game movie that's actually decent, I'm yet to come across one.
Yeah.
I think Mortal Kombat, the last one, came close, but even that was borderline good, not decent. But I think good. Yeah. But I think that might be just my kind of leaning towards video game movies in the first place. So we don't need Hollywood to kind of legitimize the industry or the genre of entertainment that we enjoy, kind of thing.
Yeah. And
it's kind of it only ever smacks to me as a cash grab in terms of, right, loads of people are playing this and we can get them in theaters and streaming services kind of thing. So it always comes from a money point of view. But Street Fighter 1994, I want to say, with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Raul Julia. Chef's kiss.
Kylie Minogue.
Yes.
I remember that.
And Ming-Na Wen is Chun-Li.
Yeah, I said a couple of weeks ago when me and Moody was talking about the Mario movie trailer.
Yes.
I still haven't seen the trailer. I said,
have you heard the trailer? Because I think
I've seen the French version of the trailer.
Oh, the French version popped off. They was like, Charlemagne, like, we're gonna get you back in.
Yeah. But no, like I said when we were talking about that I think Super Mario Brothers might be my favorite video game movie because it's so terrible. It's just so much fun to watch. So I get where you're coming from with the Street Fighter thing.
That original movie had some ideas, just in terms of, in the Cooper side of the world, everybody drove electric vehicles because there was no such thing as fossil fuels and things like that. They had some really smart ideas about it.
They really thought about it, right?
Also, they didn't put any thought into Goombas.
I remember seeing the original Silent Hill movie, and it's like, I like the production value. Like, I like the look of the film. But like, yeah, it was a great film. The opening was almost like, apart from the fact that it was Rose and not Harry Mason, like, where she's chasing after the kid the first time and she runs down the thing and it turns to night, and like, that was almost shot for shot the first game.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, they're actually doing it. And then they quickly didn't.
It's like they shot that scene only to put like in a trailer to get people who are fans of the video game on board. Yeah. It's kind of like the Uncharted movie. Sure. How the only scene which actually spoke to Uncharted fans was the post-credit scene.
Oh, okay.
And everything else was just okay, this is a choice. But yeah, so we'll see what it's like. Whether Mr. Ganzer's actually evolved in his filmmaking since he first took a run at Silent Hill, or whether he just had like the contract just locked him in perpetuity to say, if there's a Silent Hill movie, I need to be the director. Then
yeah,
so be it.
But that's Silent Hill. Silent Hill's back.
Yeah.
After all the rumors and podcasts and annoying fucking, oh, maybe it's going to be this week. Oh, maybe it's going to be this week. Like, it's finally happened.
Could be worse. We could have got Metal Gear Survive 2. It could be worse.
We'll see how these games turn out before we pass final judgment. Because I want to be optimistic.
Yes.
But I don't know if I am. Again, Metal Gear Survive. I've played that.
What about mental trauma?
Aye, that was sharing mental trauma. Yeah, I fucking streamed that game. It was an interesting experience. Speaking of interesting experiences, though,
Smooth segue in the house.
it's time for what we've been playing, and I've been playing a couple of games. Fitz, and you've been playing a game. I put yours at the end because, as you had correctly identified, it could segue into something else. So I'll talk about my main game that I played.
Yes.
This week, A Plague Tale Requiem.
Ooh.
I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. Sequel to A Plague Tale Innocence, which came out in 2019. It's a stealth-horror adventure game. Like, it's hard to pin down what kind of game it is. And you play as Amicia. His brother Hugo is like... There's some shit going on with him involving some rats, and you're in like 14th century France. And you're basically just trying to survive. In A Plague Tale Requiem, which picks up a few months after A Plague Tale Innocence, you're kind of trying to find... Spoilers, I guess, for Innocence. You're kind of trying to like find a cure for what's wrong with Hugo. That's where the story sort of picks up and then goes from there. And it goes... Does it
go from like 0 to 100 real quick?
Oh my god, it really did. So not quick, but it does go from 0 to 100 in the first few chapters. You just like there was a moment in I think a long moment, a moment. It was like the last part of chapter 4 where I don't want to spoil what happens because the spectacle of it was incredible.
Yes.
But I think you could. I'll try to do it with facial expressions. So like, sorry, audio listeners, but if you're a video watcher, or just watch my video box, right? It was just like, you're doing the chapter 4 things, sneaking past some guards, get past some rats, and it's like, okay, you have to go and do the thing, go to this place, and then something happens, and the something happens part is just like. That was kind of like a what the fuck.
For audio listeners, Amy went from mildly surprised to very surprised to the most surprised in around about 2 seconds.
It's about that long, and again, I don't want to spoil it, because the spectacle of that moment is something that should not be spoiled for anybody, and the aftermath of that moment is amazing as well. Just like what the fuck, especially if you played the first game.
So yeah, so as this is another hairy scary game, I bravely watched Andy Cortez, the Nitro Rifle, play through this game on stream, and he had I want to say a wonderful time, but yeah, he too was grossed out by all of the icky sections, and his prime motivation was to get to the ridiculously attractive mother figure to Amicia and Hugo. That was his main goal.
Sure.
Yeah, so I believe he's going to play this title as well. So I'm looking forward to see him brave this, so I don't have to.
Fair enough.
Because the story was intriguing, just in terms of the actual plague that took hold of the land, and the relationship between Amicia and Hugo, and how Hugo is just like the sweetest of boys. And yeah, and yeah. So by the end of the first game, I think it might be a spoiler zone to say the abilities that he gets, and kind of the final encounter and how that all played out, kind of thing. So yeah, it's good to see that they've this new game picks up just a few months after.
It does.
Hopefully they've held on to the same voice actors.
They have.
But yeah, so because I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, they have, and they're doing a great job here, especially the voice actress who plays Amicia. Is fantastic here, because in terms of A Plague Tale Requiem, the game, I'd go as far as to say it's solid. would be the best word I would use to describe how I've like my experience of playing it. As a sequel, it basically takes everything from the original game, Plague Tale: Innocence, like the gameplay stuff, the story beats, the character stuff, like everything that worked, and kind of just turns it up. So you get the first game was very much about Amicia and Hugo's bond, like as it formed as they were going through their travels, and in the second game, obviously they have the bond now. So like it's about okay, like you're dealing with sort of the emotional and psychological trauma of the first game.
Yes.
Of what happened in the first game, while also still being revisited with brand new traumas as you're going through this game, which takes a toll. Which it would take a toll on some people, and it takes a toll on Amicia especially. And she's sort of in this really dark place. It gives me some vibes of The Last of Us Part 2 in terms of. One, it's a third-person adventure game, so plays very similar. But like in terms of like Amicia going down a certain path, especially Amicia, it's like there's a similar sort of like character beats that can sort of happen between like that game and this game. So like as I was playing it, I was like, oh, this does remind me a little bit of The Last of Us Part 2. It is bleak as the first game was, but not like it's also punctuated. Like the whole like essence of Requiem is like hope, right? It's like we can fix this. Like against everything that we've seen so far, we can still fix this. So like there's a thread of hope running through it, and the story itself is punctuated by these really nice moments. Like you said before, like Hugo is like he's just the nicest, sweetest, most naive kid ever, and it's like the last person you would want something like this to happen to.
To be fair, though, he got over luring a pig to a certain area to get eaten by rats, so they can make their escape real quick.
Let me tell you, like, Requiem blows that shit out of the water pretty fucking fast. In terms of, ooh, shit, I don't know if, like, ooh, shit, heroic character doing something like this. It's like, yeah. But yeah, in terms of the story, like I don't want to get too much into like in detail, but it's a good story and it's a good conclusion, I think, to a Plague Tale as a series. Like if as Asobo, I believe it's called, the studio, Asobo, if they made another one, I'd be in and I'd be playing it. But like, I feel like this I don't need any more like from a Plague Tale now.
Similar to how many feel about The Last of Us Part 2 in terms of, right, this seemed to be a kind of definitive end to a certain character's journey. Not going to spoil for anyone who hasn't got to that yet. And it's kind of, if Naughty Dog were not to go back to that series, I would be okay. But if they were to go back, then I'd be in day one kind of thing. So yeah. Like, I can fully appreciate what you're saying. Yeah,
like a good thing about great stories, despite what like current cinematic universes might try and have you believe is like great stories have endings. And a Plague Tale has a really strong ending in Requiem. Like I love, for all the times, and we'll talk about like a few of these in a moment, but for all the times I might have been frustrated by the gameplay or like not feeling it in certain areas, like there was always a cutscene or a story moment or like just a moment between characters that was always like, oh yeah, this is why I'm playing this game. Because I want to see what happens to these characters. I want to see what happens in this story. The characters, all of the characters, are fantastic. The story like isn't afraid to just like fuck you up emotionally, and I love that because it doesn't pull any of its punches. There's characters who will just suddenly die. For example, as part of the story, and just like, holy shit, that guy's dead now.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
I just like the fact that we just said, and certain characters die, and both of us were smiling ear to ear.
Yeah.
There's something fundamentally wrong.
People die in horrible ways. Like there are a lot of rats in this game, and they're very hungry. Sobo was saying before the game came out that they could have 300,000 rats on screen at once. I believe them.
Yep. 300,000, 3 million. What's the difference
at that point? What's the difference? It's too many rats.
Any number, we'll believe you.
So I play games with headphones on, like because I stream games a lot, so I play them with headphones on there. And I just kind of fallen into the habit of just playing games with headphones on in general. I didn't play this game with my headphones on because of the rats. I was like, I'm not doing that myself. Like I had the headphones on, I got to the first rat bit, the rats were making the noises, and it just went nah.
Yeah.
The headphones are off. They're off to the side. I'm not doing that to myself. It's not happening.
Oh, great stuff.
But in terms of that, like, much like in A Plague Tale, in a sense, Requiem has like a lot of different gameplay ideas, and it kind of silos them off. So in the course of a level, you might start off and you'll be exploring somewhere, and then that's very much just a look around and push A on things to like trigger dialogue, and then you might go into a stealth section where it's like you got to get past these soldiers, and then like that'll end, and then there'll be another bit, and it's like, okay, now we're in a cave and there's rats everywhere, so now you got to do the rat solving puzzle stuff, which is like, oh, you got to make sure like there's light.
Yeah.
And that's how you get past the rats. And then it might end with a chase sequence where now you're running away from something, and like all the different types of, there's never any mixture between them, if that makes sense. So like you're constantly like bouncing from sort of gameplay type to gameplay type, which works in Requiem's favor because some of the stuff is really good, some of the stuff isn't that great. Combat sucks. When you get spotted and you try and fight, like when I got spotted by soldiers, I just reloaded the checkpoint. I was like, I'm not dealing with that.
I think that was a problem that Andy definitely faced in Plague Tale, in a sense, to begin with, in terms of Amicia, fair enough, like they're a child as well, kind of thing, and in terms of you wouldn't necessarily expect them to be able to take down a knight, but it's one of these where there weren't any options other to hide and run away and hide, kind of thing. So I mean, it's surprising to see that the combat necessarily hasn't evolved from that in terms of what Amicia's options are, but you know, I haven't played it yet, so
so you do have options to fight in this game, and you do have new stuff. A crossbow, you get a crossbow, which is useful for both combat and also for puzzle solving. So I know that's new from the first game, but the problem is it still sucks. Like, like, I mean, I had to brute force my way through a couple of stealth sections, which we'll talk about stealth in a second, and there are some sections of the game where it's like, this is a fight, like there's a boss fight, or like there's a wave based fight where soldiers are coming in and you've got to fight them. There's no like, you are as part of the story. It's like you are fighting them, and I was like, you know, that thing of like, this meeting could have been an email. It's like, this could have been a cutscene. This could have been a cutscene. I would have been fine with this being a cutscene. Like, please don't make me do this, but it made me do this. So yeah, the combat's not great. You're not forced into it that often, so it's not a huge problem. The stealth is split into two categories, I guess. There's stealth where you're trying to get past human enemies, the soldiers and bandits and whatnot, and then there's stealth where you're trying to do that, but there's also rats everywhere. At the same time, so it's like a mixture of two things. The stealth when you try to get past human enemies is just, it doesn't suck, but it's not great either.
Not necessarily fun.
It's not really that fun. Like whenever I came up to a point where I was doing that I was just like, I can't wait to get past this. In fact, there were times where I just started murdering. Like, because I was like, you know what, I'm fucking bored. Get the sling out, bang, take your head off. Oh, you've come to investigate, boom, I've just thrown a fire pot at you, you're dead now. Oh, someone else is coming, here, have a crossbow bolt. You know, it's just like, I'm fucking sick of this shit.
Yes. That's one of those where, you know, for countless years at this point, we're being, you know, stuck in stealth environments where we examine what the cone of vision is, we examine what the march plans are of the AI kind of thing, and then you just work your way around them. And there needs to be there has to be kind of a more engaging and fun way of going through those sections. So I appreciate they're trying to like ramp up the kind of anxiety of, oh no, what if you're caught and what if you're seen and spotted and things like that. But yeah, there needs to be a better way of doing that.
Yeah, there definitely does. Just gonna, because I want to delete this anyway. But yeah, so when it adds rats to the equation, when there's human enemies, but it's night and there's rats, it becomes more fun. Because then you've got this other like element that you can sort of manipulate around. So like a guard is walking around with a torch, and you've got the stuff that puts torches out. So you just
go douse that flame, and then
he goes ah, and he gets killed, and you have a brief moment of thinking, wait, am I the bad guy here? But then you quickly put that to one side. So like when you add that layer in, it's quite good. You unlock the ability later on for Hugo to control rat swarms, which is so satisfying to just run over enemies.
Just a tsunami of rats.
You do like the first person thing and you run towards them, and then it cuts to a third person thing, and you just watch the guy get devoured by rats. And I'm like, yeah, fuck yes, let's go. But like, you could do that in the first game, and you could do that in the first game. So I like the fact that it comes up again partway through Requiem, and they're like, oh my god, like I can't believe you can do this. It's like, am I the only one here who remembers what happened in Innocence? Like, you can already do this.
I remember the rat tornadoes that the final boss threw at your face.
Oh my god!
You had to jump out of the way.
You talk about a rat tornado. No spoilers, but so that was interesting. But like, the best part of the gameplay in terms of a Plague Tale Requiem is the rats themselves. Like, when it's just like, I have to get past 50,000 rats. How do I do this? And you get all the tools and stuff. Like, you unlock the tools in the progression, which is cool, but it's like I'm unlocking the same things that I already had in the last game.
Oh, so it's one of these where has Amicia forgotten all of her skills and abilities?
It's like she's got nothing, right? Like, so you start off with pebbles in a sling, and then you get the thing that like lights the fire, and then you get the thing like 2 levels in, I think it is, or 3 levels in, you get the thing that puts the fires out, and
and like I said, you had all those in the first game. It's that same issue that Horizon Forbidden West ran into.
I hated that. In Horizon Forbidden West, when I was streaming it, I remember I was like, where the fuck is all my stuff, man?
Yeah. In terms of, okay, Aloy said, I've got to travel light. That's a excuse. I'm not going to say it's a great one, but it's a excuse. But there's no reason why you forget the ability to knock 3 arrows at once and that kind of thing.
Yeah. But you slowly unlock it, and the game is sort of like built around you not having certain abilities.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's manageable. You get a lot of AI companions as well who can do specific things. For example, the one section that I really enjoyed doing, as like when it was like human enemies, was I have a guy with me who has a sword and a shield, and you can just point at people and go, yeah, kill that guy, and he just runs over and fucking kills them. And I was like, this is
great
awesome
stuff.
Like, there's a lot of cool set pieces in the game, where it's like that you'll be trying to catch a boat, and then it's going down the river, and the guy's got like a a crossbow thing on the front of it. So you'll be going through a level, and like there'll be guards and stuff, and they're getting shot as the boat goes across, and you're running through. And I was like, this is really cool. Like, why couldn't all the stages with human enemies just be like this? Because this is cool. But I know at a certain point in this very level, the boat's going to be on, and I'm going to have to do the sneaking and stuff, and I don't want to do that. But it's great. It's great, apart from the sequelitis and some of the stuff that I didn't like. But again, it's a solid game. And the stuff that it takes from Innocence and makes better really works.
No, great stuff. And I think it's one of those where if you were really enjoying and got enamored with the story of Innocence, then I think there's a strong chance that you're going to like Requiem. You're going to love
this. It's a direct continuation. It's a conclusion, I'd say, to the story that started in the first game, and it's a very satisfying one. Just be prepared to like for emotional damage.
Yes.
But I imagine if you played the first one, you were already prepared for emotional damage.
Oh, no, 100%. We had that section where, you know, you're hiding behind that cart that's being pushed by the boy, and then the boy is being shot, and he takes more than an arrow to the knee. He takes several arrows kind of thing, and it's kind of like, oh no, but then also, yes, we got to go beat the Pope or whatever it was.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of like heavy moments in this, but again, it's punctuated by like really nice moments. Like, there's a whole middle section of the game which is like a couple of chapters long at least, which is just like, it's like respite, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And it really lets you like reset and gives the characters room to breathe, and like you get some really nice moments between the characters. The entire time I was playing it, I was like, this is really nice, but there are still 6 chapters left in the game.
Yeah.
So I know what you set me up for here.
No, yeah, I imagine it's something similar to, say, the museum sequence in Last of Us Part 2. Yes, exactly. It's a lovely respite, and it's a lovely character moment between these two. And but yeah, there's a lot of game left after that.
But I'm not done yet.
Yes.
Yeah, like some people might complain that the story is very predictable. Like I knew where the game was going from the outset. Like from within a couple hours of playing it, I was like, I know how this is going to end. And it did. It ended how I thought it was going to end. But at the same time, because the writing was strong, the characterizations were strong, the voice acting was strong. Like, I didn't care that I knew where it was going because it got there really well.
Great stuff.
And I like the hand. Like, Amicia still, like, holds Hugo's hand when you're wandering around. And I'm just like, that's such a great touch. That's just such a great little touch.
I hope they're still just as enamored with apples, because I remember the post-credit scene of the first game, and Hugo gets the most excited by an apple.
He gets honestly, when Hugo gets excited by something like really random in the game, it's just makes my heart be like, yes. But that's Plague Tale Requiem. If you've got Game Pass, you can download it. Otherwise, you can just buy it. It's a great game, and if you play the first one, you should definitely play this one.
Great shout.
Yeah.
So I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV, but before that, I want to get to a little bit of a curveball. I really want to put on there that I've been going back to Gran Turismo 7, but they refuse to add the content that I'm looking for in this game. So on a monthly basis, they do a update which is free. So in its favor, all the DLC is free and all the rest of it. Yeah. And for some reason, they insist on rolling out with 3 and this month 4 cars. I think they've introduced one new track and a couple of variations to other tracks, but they first initially made a statement to do with the roadmap in terms of, okay, here's the kind of events that we're going to be adding to the game. We're going to be adding endurance events for you to really sink your teeth into, build up a rhythm, and we're going to be introducing all these fantastic new cars and new races to run them in, which is all fantastic. But none of that stuff has materialized, and it's kind of, okay, you can hand me a bunch of new cars, and that's all great, and some of them are extremely pretty, and some of them I really wanted to drive. But there's no new places for me to actually run these races in, apart from rerunning races that I've already done. And the reward system, in terms of the credits you're earning in order to buy other cars that you want to purchase kind of thing, it's just not there. So the economy is still broken. And I just wanted a moment to stand on a soapbox and say, Kazunori Yamauchi-san, please, please give me endurance events. Give me something I can sink my teeth into. So, my racing rig has lain dormant for about 3 months now on that game. But that's mostly because I've completely fallen in love with Final Fantasy XIV.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
the great Kumail, he has been banging on me for years to play Final Fantasy XIV.
What's that like?
So me and my lovely girlfriend Lauren, we both took the dive in to Eorzea together, and it's around about been, I want to say, 2 months now since we first started, and we fully paid up for subscriptions and all the rest of it, and we've been enamored with this. So I've sunk over, I want to say, 70 hours into this game now, which I know is kind of atypical of a Final Fantasy, but I'm only at I'm coming towards the end of the second of 4 expansions, and they're working on a 5th kind of thing. And so my character is called Phoenix. She is a paladin, and she's awesome. And the story that Final Fantasy XIV tells is top of the line, one of the best that I've experienced. So obviously in one of the other mainline titles, the actual story they're telling is a bit more focused, but you're dealing with like a whole continent here. And whilst there is a plethora of side quests that you can do with optional quests and jobs you can take, the actual main story quest is the actual driving force, which is going to keep you going and keeping going through the expansions. And it's amazing. And I think one of the great things is it's actually designed around solo and co-op play, rather than, while it is an MMO, you don't necessarily need to have a party with you to do everything. There's plenty of this you can do solo, or you can do as duos, that kind of thing. For the events that you do need a party of like 4 or 8, or for a raid you need like 28 people, I want to say. Those are still exceedingly popular. So you're rarely waiting more than 5 minutes for you to populate any party and then do whatever you need to do kind of thing. So it's my first MMO that I've ever played. Which is kind of maybe one of the reasons why I've fallen so much into this one, in terms of, hey, MMOs can be fun. I just needed the in to get me in there kind of thing. Final Fantasy XIV, I'm almost at the end of Heavensward, and looking forward to where the next expansion takes us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you do the meme? Final Fantasy XIV, the whole like meme, the copy paste I see all the time. Where it's like, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, we'll have to look what they're up, Jack.
Final
But
Fantasy
yeah,
14 is free to level 60 and includes the award-winning. I don't know.
yes, yeah, it's one of those where the free. Yeah, so obviously we started with the free version of the game, so the trial version, and it is exceedingly limited in terms of what you can do.
Sure.
In terms of you can't even party up with someone and go run a quest together, that kind of thing. But
Okay.
it gives you full access to all of the different regions and things that you're going to go across, and it gives you a really decent time with the game in terms of you can play for 30 days for as many hours as you want within those 30 days kind of thing. But that's more than enough for you to get the flavor in terms of whether you want to continue with this or put it to one side and call your time with it. But the story has absolutely grabbed me and Lauren, and they just finished the Heavensward expansion today, so hopefully we'll get to do a bit of catching up tomorrow and get up to that point as well.
Nice. So Heavensward. So how does it go? It's Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
Is Heavensward the next thing?
It's one of the expansions. So
because I know Endwalker and Shadowbringers.
Yes.
Are two other ones, but I don't know what the order
it
is.
So yeah, you're more or less right. So Final Fantasy 14 was the base game. Then they had something called A Realm Reborn, where I think they completely reinvented it and brought it back, and loads of players came back in. Then Heavensward came out. Then it was Endwalker's the most recent one, and Shadowbringers the one before that. So we'll be getting into that Shadowbringers content. And then I understand they had several meetings, as in the writing team, had several meetings in like a company retreat that they did to kind of map out the main story quests for the next expansion, where they also talked about doing a visual overhaul for like all the textures and whatnot, because whilst this game looks great on whatever system you're running kind of thing, some of the textures are quite dated at the time or for the time, and it shows. But the whole charm of the characters and the world that they put together is enough to kind of wash all of those sentiments away kind of thing. So I highly recommend people get into this, but just go in fully accepting that this is a drug and you will get hooked to it.
That's why I'm not going into it.
That's it. If you value your free time, then yeah, maybe not.
I mean, I don't know if I value my free time, but but I like playing a lot of different games. Like I've been down the MMO rabbit hole before. Like I was in at the ground floor like of World of Warcraft. Mm-hmm. I know what can happen.
Yes,
when you play an MMO.
But it's one of these where Final Fantasy XIV is going to keep me away from picking up God of War day one. In terms of I know I just won't get to it, so there's no point me picking you up right at the start kind of thing. So
that's a pretty
it's one of well, that's it. Like when we do get around to it, then it'll still be there. So I think I paid it for 6 months. So I think I've got 4 months left, and that's more than enough to get through all the content that's already out there. Then I can drop my subscription, then pick it back up when the next expansion comes out and things like that. So I know these sound like the words of a drug addict saying they've got control of their issues.
Stop whenever I want.
That's it. Yeah, there wasn't a panic to rebuild my PC this morning so we can play a little more before the podcast today. So
if I ever get bottom surgery and I've got like the time off from work, that's when I might just go in for Final Fantasy 14. Like when I've got a significant period of time where I'm not doing anything. Because like I've downloaded it multiple times on my PlayStation, and it's always been that sort of like the investment of time of like how much it would take for me to like catch up with like all the expansions and the story and stuff. Because I've heard everything everybody said about it, like about how good the story is and how good like and like it's the best Final Fantasy that you've never played.
Yes, but then it does suffer from the same tropes as like most MMOs, where it's mostly fetch quests and it's NPCs telling you to go to this location and to have a conversation to send you back to exactly where you just were, kind of thing. And it's kind of right. They say it's part of the charm. I haven't got to that point yet. It's still frustrating for me. And then some NPCs will tell you to meet them at a certain location, and then you arrive there, they're already standing there, and then they complain to you what took you so long when you got there as fast as you humanly could. But it's one of these where
I fast traveled here. What the fuck are you talking about?
This is it. Do you know how much gil I spent to transport here? And you're giving me grief. It's one of these, but no, it's great fun.
I mean, you say that like the fetch quest thing, like like that's not the experience of Horizon as well.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah,
Like Horizon Forbidden West is more or less the same experience.
I need this much gears. I need you to kill like 62 Striders for me. Go do that.
Go kill this thing. Okay, great. Okay, so, we done now? No, now I need to go and kill this thing. We done? Are we done now?
I believe only one quester told me to go kill a number of rats. So for that particular trope, there's only been
I've had
one.
enough. I'm not doing rats for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's it.
After Plague Tale, like that's it. I'm done. But that's awesome. Like one day I'll jump in. I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think it's been really helpful to have someone like Kamal come in who will swoop in. So obviously with Final Fantasy XIV, they introduced a lot of cameo elements from various other Final Fantasies. So one of the mounts you can have is the car from Final Fantasy XV. I think the Regalia or something similar to that. Yeah. So and of course, being a mount, it has to fly. So now it's a flying car.
Sure.
Kamal often comes in and swoops in with his character and gives myself and Lauren like various gifts because he's level 90 or whatever it is. And so he just swoops down, but he crashes into everything on the way down.
Of course.
But then it's always good to just have a kind of Sherpa to say, okay, these are the kind of quests you need to be focused on. Just focus on main quests. Don't necessarily bother with the side quests. You'll get bogged down. It's there if you want to do them for any other characters you want to roll or for quests and jobs and things. But just focus on the main story quest and you'll be A-okay.
That sounds very similar to my experience with Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yes,
because I got a review copy of that game, and that copy came with a review guide. And part of the review guide was, here are the side quests that you should definitely check out.
Yes.
So I feel like because I had my experience curated, I came out liking that game more than a lot of people did at launch. But
100%. So there's a particular side quest with a detective called Hildebrand, and where that goes is wild. And I don't want to say any more because I don't think you'd actually believe me if I told you anything that went down in there. But it's shot like it's a Japanese comedy show. That particular side quest, and it's got like a laugh track to it, and it's got all the shenanigans that you may expect of a Japanese comedy show kind of thing. And it's wild.
I like the sound of it. You know how to speak to me about games, Wits.
Good to know.
Speaking of games, before we move on to talk about more goings on around the games industry and whatnot, I thought we could do a quick little indie game of the week.
Quick little indie game of the week.
We do this every week. We talk about a cool looking upcoming indie game, and this week's indie game of the week is Exocide. Exocide is a retro first-person shooter with an early 2000s aesthetic. Manage 2 powerful sets of weapon systems with extreme aggression to annihilate the swarm. Keep your mechanical robotic backpack excited using a powerful array of weaponry. Mix and match ammunition types and weapons for bonuses and rewards. Manage your power reserves to find a balance between quick mobility and absurd firepower. Go in for the kill with fast-paced, gory melee combat. And then there's a story description. Years ago, several nations deployed giant combat-modified insects to aid in the Great War. This swarm of insects eventually turned in search of a food source to sustain their growing population. A decade of human genocide has wiped out most of the population. The remaining survivors have consolidated into a single fortified colony to fight extinction. You are one of the last living member of the Handlers, a highly trained special forces group that was originally tasked with raising and fighting alongside these giant insects during the Great War. Exocide is being developed by Hellforge Studios, published by Apogee Entertainment. It's coming to early access on Steam in 2022. There's a link in the description. Go check out the game on Steam. Go wishlist it. Go support independent developers.
100%. I think it's an analogy of the UK at the moment, how everyone has been brought together thanks to all the damage that the Conservative Party have done. And we've gone through the terrible experience, so whether it's human genocide or whether it's having to suffer with the Tories, and it's kind of brought the rest of us together in terms of, right, this needs to stop.
It is nice. Hopefully it continues. I would love, I've seen projections where the Conservatives get 5 seats. And I'm like, that would be incredible if that actually happened. But yeah, no, indie developers. We love indie developers here at Words About Games. Okay, so we'll move on. Like I said to you at the beginning, me and Moody kind of hit on this partway through last week's podcast, where it was like, there's a table of contents in front of you, Vit, of all the different stories that I've put in the document. I've got the clock going so I can see how long we've been recording for. Where do you want to go next? All of those are hyperlinks, by the way, so you can click on them and go straight to the story.
Yes. So let's start with let's start at the top with the Resident Evil 4 remake shown at the RE showcase. Only because I think this is probably obviously tying to the Silent Hill story that we started things with, and with the RE remix that was going out, obviously 4 is one of the most beloved games in the series, if not the most beloved. And I think seeing the changes that they made or some of the new choices that they've done is really interesting, and I'm excited to see how this one actually pans out in terms of. People are picking up on little Easter eggs from the trailer alone and taking, 2 + 2 and making 26 out of them kind of thing, and saying, oh, what changes they're going to make, or is it going to be a shot-for-shot remake? And 100%, I think I'm excited to see what the rabid fan base does with. Well, they're not even calling it a remake, are they? They're just calling it Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 4. Well, they didn't call the other ones remakes either, to be fair.
That's true.
The only one they called a remake was the first one when they did that.
Okay.
Back on the GameCube. I've been around for a lot of that. Like, I'm a big Resident Evil fan. Like, one of the biggest, I'd say. Yeah. But yeah. So like, obviously there was a Resident Evil showcase. There was a lot of stuff in the showcase, but really, I just kind of wanted to focus on Resident Evil 4,
100%.
Because the other stuff just didn't really interest me that much. Not to say it doesn't look good, and if you like the look of it or it's your kind of thing, cool, more power to you. But I'm really interested. I'm going to focus on Resident Evil 4. So there was the gameplay section, which was the opening of the game, right? Like the original game, Leon goes in the house and he's like, "Oh, hey man, are you okay?" And then no, he's not. And then he runs off to the town, and then you run around for a bit, and then a guy with a chainsaw chases you down, and then they ring a bell and he goes, "Where's everybody going? Bingo?" And then it goes, Resident Evil 4. That's the title screen. I was reading.
Can we just say Leon S. Kennedy is my favorite Backstreet Boy?
Yeah,
he's amazing.
So I was reading the just before we start talking about the gameplay that was shown, I was reading previews because people have got to play the game, and someone did mention that he still does the bingo line.
Yes.
And I was like, that's the most important piece of information I've seen about Resident Evil 4. 2023 edition. He still does the bingo line. This is going to be game of the year.
That's it.
It's such a shit line, but also amazing at the same time. It makes me excited for the rest of the cheesy dialogue that happens like later in the game might actually still be in the game.
Yes. No, 100%. I obviously I hope they tone down the amount that Ashley just screams all the time, because that was grating back then. I'm sure it's going to be grating now, but yeah, hopefully they take a few things of that. Obviously, we heard some of the stories about the doggy that you find in the bear trap in the original that you can save, and now sadly they're a bit worse for the wear. I will say, but whether that will come back to haunt poor Leon when we finally get our hands on the final game, we'll see.
So, what did you think of the gameplay that we got to see?
Yeah, I think it was really good in terms of obviously it's gorgeous and the kind of the ambient lighting that they have. Yeah, and I think you can't stray too much away from the formula in terms of this is why Resident Evil 4 was scary, because you have these quote tank controls and all the rest of it when you're talking about the original. And I think this one just evolves that, and I think for better or worse in terms of what the original game was, what it pertained to be, the remakes have been stellar. And as I say, just necessarily held back between what was in the original content. So yeah, I think RE4 is just going to knock it out the park.
It certainly looks that way. I like seeing there's a lot of touches that were in the original Resident Evil 4 that are still here. This isn't just Resident Evil 4 remade as if it was one of the like 2 or 3 remakes that we've had there. It's like this gameplay features that have come from the original release, sort of like the, you can stun an enemy and then do that stupid fucking roundhouse kick.
Yeah, all the suplex.
Like at one point, like the chainsaw guy's coming and you could like parry the chainsaw with a knife, and I'm just like, that's ridiculous, but it's so Resident Evil 4.
Yes. Like the Leon S. Kennedy, he'll turn down a cigarette because it's bad for you, but he'll eat a random egg that he got from a snake.
Right, yeah, egg. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I was never really worried about Resident Evil 4 Remake, but it's just like it is nice to see the gameplay and look at it and go, okay, like you guys know what you're doing. You guys got this. You really like have figured out what made Resident Evil 4 great, and now I can play it without the worst control scheme I've ever experienced in a third-person action game. Because I tried
the. So I was going to say, did you ever try the chainsaw controller?
No, but I remember talking about that on a podcast to someone who's never seen it before. That was great. No, like I did try to stream the game, Resident Evil 4. I think when we were in lockdown. So a couple of years ago, and it's like I wanted to fucking punch a hole through my monitor with how bad the controls in that game are. Like it's because it's still a great game. That's what makes it frustrating, because it's like I feel like I have no control over anything that's happening on the screen in front of me. And like I get it. It was like pretty much the first like ever like action game in this sort of style. Yes. So I get that like the controls were still evolving and stuff, but yeah, it is like it was horrible, the control. So like that's sort of been my sort of main thing of like them doing this remake and me being like, this is what I want. I want a game that I can play and not feel like I want to do violence to myself.
But yeah, all the elements are there. If we moving on to the story trailer that we're showing, so like little baby George Washington, he's still there with his maniacal castle and all the rest of it. So Nada Wong's there, and the character models look absolutely stunning, as you would expect, kind of thing from the RE engine and things like that. So all in for watching somebody else bravely play this.
I'll do it. I'm doing it.
There you go.
I'm definitely going to stream this game when it comes out. But like there's some things that I hope that they do. Like I do hope they turn down Lewis, because
yes,
from his original depiction, it's like maybe we could take this back a couple of steps. It's not the early 2000s anymore. Ashley, I actually still hope she does just like go Leon, because I just like I'm fine with it. Like it's so annoying. It's incredibly.
She's going to do it. I think she's going to do it 3 times, and then Leon's going to tell her to pipe down.
Shut the fuck up. I hope I still have the option to accidentally shoot her when I'm trying to shoot the locks off of the.
Well, when the cage is on.
It's like, oh, she's being carried away. Bang! Oh no, she's dead. And then Leon does the face palm. Oh.
Maybe on this one, like as the end credits roll and they're riding away in the jet ski, and then she tries to hit on him, and obviously in the original he just says no. But hopefully in this game he just elbows her off the jet ski. He's like he's had it up to here with her.
It's like that's it, we're done. I love that.
He's got to be like the first damsel in distress that doesn't get swept off the feet.
Right? I love that in the original where she's just like, hey, maybe we could do it, and he's just like, nah,
no.
Fair. But I'm really looking forward to this. But I'm done now. Like I don't need to see any more of this game leading up to its release.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you don't need to do any more gameplay reveals or anything like that. Just let me ride it out till March and then play the game.
No, 100%.
Where do you want to go next?
Speaking of reveals, let's go with the Final Fantasy XVI story trailer. So yeah, I know Amy was kind of directing me to go to a smooth segue from Final Fantasy 14 to 16 because most of the senior team are on there. But yeah,
but then Indie Game of the Week happened, so the segue didn't work anymore.
All good. But yeah, so the story trailer itself was visually stunning. I still can't get over the fact that the main protagonist is called Clive. Speaking anecdotally, I can't think of a single person born in the last 20 or possibly 30 years that have been called Clive. But, this game is set way back when. But some of the architecture they're showing in terms of the kind of the glacier that looks like Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings, and the kind of the castle-like structure that sits before it, it's beautiful. And I'm really, really excited to see how the kind of main story plays out and the kind of mechanics of its kind of primals and deities against each other versus instead of you going up against to fight a Shiva or an Ifrit or a Bahamut, that kind of thing. They're kind of in your stable and they can fight for you. I think that's really interesting.
Nice. Yeah, like Final Fantasy 16 sits in this weird headspace for me where it's like, I mean, because I'm in full on Final Fantasy VII like mania, right? It's like, oh yeah, but there's also this other Final Fantasy game that's coming out. Not long in like it's actually around the corner, and I keep having to remind myself that that's happening because like right now I'm sort of like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like oh my god, I need to replay Remake, and I need to get that video done before Rebirth comes out, otherwise that video is not going to make sense, and then I need to do this, and then it's like, you know, Final Fantasy 16 is coming out, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, shit.
Yeah. We got Crisis Core before that, and you know, you have to replay that as well.
I can take or leave Crisis Core. Like,
that final chapter, this still gets me. It still gets me tearing up.
That might just be watch someone else play it.
Yes.
While I'm doing some other stuff.
But yeah, you're completely right in terms of FF16 just sweeping under the radar of so many people because everybody is just clamoring for Rebirth more than anything. But yeah, I still don't believe like obviously in terms of the dates and the kind of window that they gave, I'm not going to believe Square on any way, shape, or form until I finally have it in my hands, kind of thing. But yeah.
Am I playing it? Then I don't believe that it's coming out whenever they say it's coming out. Yeah. I remember Final Fantasy. I remember how long I had to wait for Final Fantasy 15.
That's it. So, team, we were having a quick chat about all things kind of funny before we started recording, and one of the enduring memories for me is that they invited Tim and Greg down to the 15 launch, I think it was, and the whole point was Tim was a veteran of the series and loved it, and Greg, it would have been like one of his first Final Fantasy games, and the whole point was that it's a game that appeal for the veterans of the series and new fans alike, and they stood up there and they made these people say that the release date was, you know, whatever it was, and then they came out not 2 weeks later and said it was delayed by a month, and that was just my overriding memory of Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah. And also, it wasn't a great entry point for newcomers to the series as well.
No, it really wasn't. But you know, I 15 has I have a soft spot for 15, so just in terms of the kind of whole Ninja Turtles vibe of the 4 gens and things like that. And yeah, you know, it had its plus points, but it also did have the original Chapter 13, which
yeah, I actually played that. Yeah, before they patched it and changed it and fixed it. Yeah, that nearly killed my enthusiasm for the entire game. Like, it does have a strong like second half. Like the second half of 15 is a lot stronger than the first half.
Yeah.
Once you get on a boat, that's all I'll say about that. But like, yeah, Chapter 13 was like, I'm glad to know, like, if you pick up 15 now and play it, you won't have to experience the hell that we had to experience playing that game. But yeah, like, it's 15 was good. Like, 16 is obviously made by Yoshi P. He's been the director of Final Fantasy XIV since A Realm Reborn. And that excites me because I see 16 as my chance to play, because like everybody talks about how great 14, the story of 14 is, and I'm like, that's
I just did on this very podcast.
Hundreds upon hundreds of hours of gameplay that I might not get around to anytime soon. So 16 is my chance to play 14 almost, like in terms of like this is a Yoshi P Final Fantasy, so like I can experience a Yoshi P Final Fantasy.
With characters like Clive, and Dave, and Bob, and Keith from down the pub, and Dave who has a ladder.
The fact that the main character is called Clive is literally like the name I would give a character on a stream if I can't remember their actual name and I'm trying to be funny about it. I'd be like, oh, it's Clive. But that's the name of the guy. Like, I can't, how am I supposed to be funny about it now? I can't be funnier than Clive. It's his name. The fuck? But yeah, Final Fantasy 16 I am hyped for. Like, what I'm concerned about is if they have to delay this game. Because it's coming out spring?
So they claim, yes.
So they claim. Like, if you have to delay this game, like, how close can they release it to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth before that gets delayed? Because if you don't want to put Final Fantasy, like, is there a world in which, like, 2 Final Fantasy games come out within, like, a month of each other?
No, but then, they did say winter 2020, or they said winter for Rebirth. So I think for me, that runs from December anywhere up to March. So
Yeah.
I think if 16 came out in, say, the autumn time, you could definitely push Rebirth to March, and people would be upset, but they'd understand.
Well, you mean I've got to live for an extra 4 months to play to
That's
make sure
it.
that I experience Rebirth? Like, what the fuck?
But think of how many times you can rewatch Advent Children in between that.
I do like Advent Children. It's true.
Yeah.
I need to replay Remake for reasons. But yeah, like 16 is gonna looks cool. I mean, I'm really excited.
Yes.
I'm at a point now. It's like what I just said before there, where it's like, okay, now I'm done with the trailers for Resident Evil 4. It's like this trailer came out, I knew it was coming out, and then it came out, and I watched it, and then I didn't take any of it in, so I watched it again. And then I was like, okay, like I think I'm at a saturation point now, where it's like, this is definitely Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I need like more. I need something more in depth now, because I feel like the last few have just been trailers. I need like a state of play where it's just like, here's a fight, here's a boss fight, here's an Eidolon fight. Like, yeah, okay.
And telling us what makes it different, what makes it special.
Sure.
In terms of, and it has to be like actual tangible stuff. So obviously, like 15 borrowed heavily from the Kingdom Hearts type of combat, and what 16 is going to be all about, why kind of the decisions were made, and like even if we went back to a more like active time battle turn-based system, that'd still be cool. But you just need to let me buy into why it's cool, that kind of thing. So I do need that more clarity.
Yeah, like show me why it's cool, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's great reading a blog post or whatever, or like a tweet or something, but like, actually, you just show me this.
Yeah.
That's going to be the fastest and easiest way for me to be on board. But it's Final Fantasy 16. And then when it comes out next year and we both play it, and you come back on the podcast, we'll do a Final Fantasy 16 review. Like, we've started this section, what we've been playing in 2022 for the podcast, and it's been a really great idea. But it's been a really great idea in a year when great games have been coming out, but fairly spaced.
Yes.
Like, I don't know I don't know what it's going to look like next year when we're getting like games on top of games on top of games, where it's like, oh yeah, like this week's headline is Final Fantasy 16, and then next week.
Yes, that's what it's going to be. But I think we're in that. So in terms of when, God of War is going to drop soon, Pokemon's out on the same day, I want to believe, and then Sonic Frontiers, however that's going to turn out, is like the day later or the day before. And I think then we've got Dead Space, and Callisto Project, and we've got Dead Space, and I think it's just going to start rolling then. And every developer decided February 2023 is when they're going to release their next game, kind of thing. So I think that's when it's going to be.
I feel like I'm going to spend next summer catching up on the games that I didn't play in February.
Yes.
But I know, like, I mean, I can tell you right now, if it's like a future podcast spoiler, no one's going to be talking about Sonic Frontiers on this podcast.
100%.
That's not coming up.
I really hope that the diehard Sonic fans like it. And I fully expect that, any casual Sonic fans or someone like me who hasn't really dabbled in any of the games, it isn't going to get anything from this game. But I know how much people want Sonic to be good.
Sure.
I just want to win for them at the end of the day.
Definitely. Like, I'm not going to play it, but I know Moody's not going to play it. But I don't want that to take away from like Sonic fans getting a cool Sonic game. Like, I'm at a point now where I used to be that kind of content creator where I'd be like, I got to make sure I hit all of the games that like are going to be relevant. Whereas now I'm just like, play whatever. Like, if I don't want to play it, I'm just not going to play it. And like, That always blows. I think that always blows people's minds. Like
You have choice. There's free will involved.
normal people, right? Like, where it's just like, like, oh, I'm not going to play this because I don't want to. And that's like, to most people, that's just like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But to me, that's like an active choice that I've made in my life, where it's like, I didn't used to do that. And that's just like how content creation broke my brain and the brains of everybody who does it, where it's just like, no, I have to play this game because I have to have an opinion on it. Like Gotham Knights, I rented Gotham. I rented Gotham Knights. It's downstairs right now, and like I only got it because I forgot to take it off my queue. And I was like, even before the reviews came out, me and Moody talked about it last week, where I said like that game's going on the back burner because since they revealed the gameplay for that game, I guess we're on a Gotham Knights tangent. But since they revealed the gameplay for that game, I've literally been saying on this podcast the entire time that doesn't look like something I want to play.
No, it doesn't, and it comes across as mid in every single fashion.
Exactly,
and from the critical reception that I've read, at least, that seems to be the case. Yeah. And
it's like you took all of the things that I liked about Arkham out of the game and replaced them with like generic open world stuff, and I'm sitting here going, I don't.
Yeah,
want
and
any
it's
of
one of these. Have you heard the cover of Living La Vida Loca that they have in
I saw
the game?
Janet Garcia's tweet.
Okay,
about the fight scene.
End game spoilers. They play that song again in the end credits. Yeah. So someone at their studio thought, you know what, this is a fantastic idea. We're going to put this terrible song in, not once, but twice. And then somebody else said, yes, that's a great idea. Let's actually do that.
This is such a banger. Let's put it in the end credits. But, I mean, it's too late to change it. But see, this is what I was talking about, though. It's like old Amy, like past Amy. Yeah. She would have done a game. She would have played the game.
Yeah.
To then confirm that she didn't like it, and then because I could get the content out of it. Whereas now it's going back. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to play it.
No,
I want to spend my time playing things that I enjoy. It's a big moment.
No, I mean people have said that the story is something to is actually one of the plus points of that game, but then there's. You don't need to sink, 10, 14 hours or whatever it needs to be to experience that story.
I can just watch it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's probably the better way to go with Gotham Knights.
It's the thing I've never understood about sort of like, oh yeah, but the story's really good. Mm-hmm. And like, okay, cool. That's awesome that the story of, and I'm not just talking about Gotham Knights here, I'm talking about like just games in general. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, the story's really good. Yeah, but if you're telling me the gameplay is not great, I've still got to play the game to get to the story. And like, so it becomes this like cumulative like thing that builds up where it's like the story's really good, but I'm getting more and more frustrated as I play the game because the game and eventually that hits a tipping point, and then I just hate the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many heavy enemies with shields that you can take on.
Yeah.
You have like a finite number of those that you can deal with before you said, you know what, I'm done.
I'm out. Fuck this. Like, yeah, if you're not making it fun for me to play, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a good experience to play it. It doesn't matter how good your story is. I'm not going to be able to force my way through it.
Oh, beans. So I think let's move on to, if I may, let's move on to we don't necessarily spend a long time on these, but I think they're important discussion topics. The first one I'd like to touch on is the certain developers claiming that they are either trying to get the Xbox Series S kind of phased out, even though it's, for most people, it's possibly the viable entry to next-gen gaming. And it's, yes.
I'm looking at it.
And it's one of these. And when I first came across this story, it just filled me with disappointment. And I'm lucky enough to to have a PlayStation 5 and a PC that I've had to build again. But yeah, it's one of those where I'm in a fortunate place to have these systems. But I respect and appreciate that not everybody has that. And for people to come out and say that right, we don't want to develop for the Series S because it potentially holds our other games back and things like that. I mean, James wrote a really good story on the Gamer. So if you wanted to run through that, and then maybe we can
let's
have a little bit of back and forth.
Let's do it. Dev claims many in the industry are trying to get Series S launch requirements dropped. This is from James Troughton over at the Gamer. He writes, "The Xbox Series S is a cheaper current gen alternative, but it has much lower specs. It targets 1080p and occasionally 1440p compared to the Series X's 4K output. This means developers have to work around two different console requirements for the same brand, which according to Bossa Studios VFX artist Ian McClure, has become something of a headache in the industry." In response, journalist and former GameSpot editorial director Jeff Gerstmann's tweet about the argument that the Series S is holding current gen games back, we're just going to roll through that, me butchering that sentence there.
All good.
McClure said, quote, "It might sound broken, but the reason you are hearing it a lot right now is because many developers have been sitting in meetings for the past year desperately trying to get the Series S launch requirements dropped. Studios have been through one development cycle where Series S turned out to be an albatross around the neck of production, and now that games are firmly being developed with new consoles in mind, teams do not want to repeat the process," end quote. Technical designer Luke Parks Haskell also disputed the argument that developers already have to work with several different PC builds in mind, all using a variety of different graphics cards from different manufacturers. He tweeted, quote, "Not really a fair comparison. The 1060 might be the most common, but it's only 6.7% of users. Around 20% of users are on a 30 series, but the Steam hardware survey is of all people using Steam, the majority of whom are not playing modern games. A high volume of accounts only play CSGO or Dota 2. For old games like that, you don't need anything better than a 1060. And with the Series S being what it is, a number of gamers won't bother upgrading to a 1060 either due to there being no need for multi-platform games," end quote. I have a lot of reactions to this.
Yeah, I saw your tweet, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that we touch on this story, because there is a lot of negative stories that we can pick from, but I think this is really an important discussion to have.
Yeah, I mean, my first like initial reaction to the two developers that said they've just said everything that they said, and I have full respect for them as artists and for developers all around. But my knee-jerk reaction to that is cope, deal with it, because as you alluded to before we started reading the story, like the Xbox Series S is how people are going to play next generation games or current generation games. Like that's the entry point. Like. People can't afford £450, £500 for a next generation console. So the Xbox Series S actually like fulfills a need in the market of like an entry point.
And where Xbox is as a platform in terms of Game Pass is their platform of choice, and the Series S is a really excellent way to get in on that. And even I think for most of the TV sets that people are plugging these things into, they're not really going to notice a difference between they're not going to have a Series X next to it to make a direct comparison. So it's a moot point at the end of the day, in terms of this is possibly the only viable way that they're going to get to experience these titles outside of building a PC, which is going to cost them several £100 more at this stage, and that kind of thing. So it's really single-mindedly in terms of, right, I get that it's a strain to develop for another SKU, but it's a really important SKU. Yeah. And it's one that needs protecting.
It's the entry point. It's the entry point for people in the next gen games. Like if you manage to like somehow like discontinue the Series S, like or whatever, and like you manage to like or go around it and not be able to actually not launch on it, like you're cutting out so many people from even playing a game. And there are people who just won't be able to afford a full fat next gen console, we'll call them. Like, again, it's like £450, £500 for a console. Like PlayStation just put the price of their console up.
They had to, yeah. Well, they felt they had to.
They had to. And some people just can't afford that shit. So if you give them the option of spending £250 on a console that is still going to be able to play a Plague Tale Requiem, which is what I just did on my Series S, like, that's awesome. And yeah, sure, I don't get 4K graphics, but like I don't need. I don't have any 4K displays anywhere in the vicinity. But like it's a good console. And
the other thing for me as well, sorry to speak over you, Amy, but clearly Xbox is developing a streaming stick or a streaming box of some kind,
Sure.
and they want most of these games to run off the cloud anyway.
Sure.
So if they're having to develop a SKU that runs off a cloud, how is that any different from having the Series S run from a cloud?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not. There's no physical drive in the Series S for you to run games from. Everything's either being downloaded digitally and then played from the local device itself, or it's playing cloud games. So the whole point of having or trying to get the Series S dropped is kind of moot, because you're going to be making another SKU anyway for Xbox Cloud. So what does it matter?
That was a badly timed cough. No, so like, yeah, the thing about the Xbox Series, I don't know, U or whatever the fuck they call the streaming stick, will be like I can't do cloud gaming. I did a whole video about like trying to use Stadia, which was very popular among Stadia users.
All two of them.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of them. They had a subreddit, and they were like, "Hey, check out this person's video. let's go ruin their entire day." I won in the end though, so it's fine. But But yeah, it's like I can't do game. Like my internet's not stable enough for streaming games. So like I couldn't use that stick. So again, the Xbox Series S becomes the solution to that problem, where it's like I can just download the games to the console and play it on there. Like to the point of the graphics card thing. Oh, no one's going to upgrade their 1060 like because they don't need to, because they can buy a Series S. Like, hey, dipshit, have you seen how much fucking graphics cards cost these days? I'm running a 970 in here. I'm streaming and video editing off a 970, praying that it holds, because I can't afford any graphics card right now because they're stupidly expensive.
Yeah,
it's not about not wanting to upgrade. It's about not needing.
We don't even need to get into NVIDIA shenanigans that they're getting into, but yeah. So
fuck NVIDIA. Seriously, my next graphics card is going to be an AMD just because they're being fucking pricks.
Yeah, so for those who are not in the know, they de-launched a word, but essentially they cancelled the launch of one of their most controversial cards, because I think people quickly figured out that there was just some like A-class marketing going on in terms of rebranding stuff that isn't really up to snuff for what the name kind of inferred. So they kind of got their fingers burnt there. So hopefully they'll learn from this. But I think when the 4090 is going to sell like hotcakes anyway.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
That's just people, but hopefully people will hold them to a little bit of a higher standard in terms of the interpreting the messages that they come out with next. But I mean, to go back to this story, the Series S is super important for a lot of people, and I think it's clear to say that the gaming space is an elitist one, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And I think Microsoft is one of the kind of the big players in making it more accessible and inclusive for everybody to play, in terms of, for sure, Sony has, a less expensive version of their console with the discless version, but then it's still an expensive console to begin with. It's nowhere near the price of the Series S.
Yeah.
And, for many families, the Series S is going to be the viable option, and we need to make sure that it stays that way.
Well said. As I said on Twitter, and I've said on this podcast about other topics, like, some of y'all have never been poor.
Yes,
and it shows. Like, Jesus, man. But yeah, we don't need to belabor on the point anymore.
That's all good.
Where would you like to go next?
I want to quickly touch on the woe of Helena Taylor, only for a little bit, because I do want to end on the last story that you have prepped here, because I think that's
we'll do those two, and then that should be time. So.
Sure.
I say time like that should be, then we do the end of the podcast.
Yes.
So we'll do Helena Taylor first. The Bayonetta, that sounded wrong. The Bayonetta voice actor dispute just got more complicated. This is from Tyler Wilde over at PC Gamer. He writes, over the weekend, last weekend, Helena Taylor said that Bayonetta creator Hideki Kamiya offered her a flat rate of $4,000 to reprise her role as Bayonetta's voice in the upcoming Bayonetta 3. A lowball, she said she declined. Taylor's statement has now been rebutted by two sources who spoke anonymously to Bloomberg, which says it also obtained documentation relating to the negotiations. According to Bloomberg sources, quote, Platinum Games sought to hire Taylor for at least 5 sessions, each paying $3,000 to $4,000 for 4 hours in the studio, end quote. The total fee would have been at least $15,000 if that were the case. Taylor, Bloomberg sources, say, rejected the offer and, quote, asked for a six-figure sum as well as residuals, end quote. In the end, Platinum hired prolific voice actor Jennifer Hale, best known as Commander Shepard in Mass Effect, to take over the role. Taylor told Bloomberg that its sources are telling, quote, an absolute lie, end quote, and that Platinum Games is trying to save face. Platinum Games has not officially responded to Taylor's claims, unless you count Kamiya calling Taylor's videos, quote, sad and deplorable, end quote, on Twitter before briefly deactivating his account. That's one way of putting it. Hale, the new voice actor, the new voice of Bayonetta, was pressed for comment by fans following Taylor's videos. She said on Monday that she could not speak openly about the situation because of an NDA, but has since retweeted several comments in support of Bloomberg's reporting. I'm going to cough my guts up for a second, if you would like.
Okay, so I'll be able to give a little bit of context of this. So I believe Platinum Games has put out a statement asking people not to give Jennifer Hale an abuse, which I think is a strong message, but also sad that we need to be in that place to where we need to remind people not to.
Of all the people you should even be talking to, you should, Jennifer Hale should not even be a part of this equation. She's a person doing a fucking job, and if you are harassing her over fucking something Helena Taylor said, something Kamiya said, or this entire situation, you could go fucking take a long walk off a short pier.
No, 100%. So the thing that spoke to me about this is obviously there's been a breakdown in communication between the two parties, and whether there was a misunderstanding between the offer, whether it was in total or for per session, I think that's by the by. So as you may imagine, I'm not a professional voice actor, and I don't know if a value of $15,000 would still be a lowball offer in terms of what did they make for the second Bayonetta game? What do they make when they bring them in to do voice lines for, say, Super Smash Brothers and things like that? And whether it is indeed an insult or not. And obviously there are more prolific voice actors in the gaming space than Helena Taylor, and it's one of these of okay, are they trying to get a rate that is comparable to, for example, a Nolan North, a Troy Baker, that kind of thing, or even a Jennifer Hale? And it's one of these where it goes back to the point of what is their time and talent worth to you versus what they're actually offering you. And I think it's a case of they said versus what Platinum said, and the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, and it's probably just got lost between them refusing to talk to each other after they fell out, kind of thing. And it's one of these where obviously unions would have helped a lot in this.
Well, that's the thing. She is union, SAG-AFTRA exists.
It does, but I wonder why they didn't step in with this, or whether they have any control over the initial contracts that they signed, or whether it's even established to say, okay, SAG actors for when they come back for repeat projects, their rate goes up by X%. And you can start to introduce residuals like you would do in, say, for films and TV series and things like that. So it's one of these where there's a lot of complexity here. And for her to come out and advise people to boycott the game is it's a strong play.
Bold move.
Yes, it's a bold move. Let's see how it plays out, Colin. But it's one of these where I get that they are hurt as a person, and this is a situation that nobody wants to be in. But advising people to actually boycott the game is kind of a length I wouldn't necessarily go to. I know we just had the discussion last week in terms of you can't necessarily give oxygen to a certain IP without empowering the author and all the rest of it. But in this particular instance, you can. I think the best situation they could have played this in is to lay all the facts out in front of them, and then let the user make the customer make the indecision of whether you want to support Bayonetta and Platinum Games, or whether you want to take the side of Helena Taylor and say to Platinum Games, I'm not buying this edition of the game because of X, Y, and Z. But telling people to go and boycott the game isn't going to get anywhere.
Sure. I made a joke on last week's podcast when we talked about this, because we talked about the first part of it with me, where I said, when Bayonetta herself tells you to, you know what I mean? I made a joke about it. It was funny, but Steph Seller made a video about this on Monday, and they said, because they made the point of and this was before obviously the Bloomberg stuff came out. That just pay in general for voice actors across the industry is terrible.
Yes,
just as a as like a thing. Like all this is doing is highlighting a situation that isn't just about Helena Taylor, really. It's about like all voice actors across like the whole video game industry. And it's like, if you're gonna boycott Bayonetta 3 over this, you pretty much gonna have to boycott like all video games. It's like
100%,
because it's all the same situation all the way down.
but we don't know the rate that Jennifer Hale accepted. It could be the same, it could be less. She could have come in and undercut them. We don't know. I'm not saying that's the type of person that they are in terms of they'll go around and, you know, snipe other people's contracts, but it's one of these where it could be that the space is so toxic that a wager 15 grand is actually a decent one in this market. We just don't know. We don't have all the answers, kind of thing. But the way they went about it is telling.
Well, I mean, there's some stuff in those videos. So obviously I was super fucking out of it last week. Like, just as a fucking point of reference, I remember when I did this story, Moody wanted to do it, to talk about it. Like, so I like kind of left him to it and went to get a drink, came back, and I remember I was telling someone, like, he said a lot of words, and I tried my best, but I didn't really take anything he was saying. And like, I was like staring at him, like, yeah, I'm trying to concentrate, but nothing's happening. But anyway. I didn't really take in much of this story at all, but like when I've like rewatched the videos and read some extra stuff when I'm in a bit more of a better state of mind, there's some stuff that she says in the videos that I just like, that can't be true. Like right off the bat, like that can't be true. Like the point of it's like, oh, Bayonetta's made like $450 million. There's no way that can be true. No. Like Bayonetta is not like, I've heard people call Bayonetta 3 like Nintendo's like flagship game of like fall, and I'm just like, it sells like 1 million copies. Like Bayonetta is such a niche thing. Like if Bayonetta was a franchise that makes 450 million, it wouldn't be a Switch exclusive. Like no, Nintendo would have to pay it to get it made.
We would have had 6 Bayonetta titles by now if you made that kind of money.
It's like Bayonetta would be a fucking on a par with freaking From Software games. Yeah. Like it would be one of the biggest IPs in multi-platform IPs in video games, but it's not. And I'm not using that to talk about the quality of the game at all. Just like, it's one of those things where it's like, upon re-reviewing what Helena Taylor said originally, I was like, there are some things in what you've already said, like that I can look at and go, no, that's not true. Oh, that seems suspect. Like I was playing Among Us, like it seems pretty sus. But
then, you know, they also shoot themselves in the foot for any future work that they want to do in this space. And it's not to say that people shouldn't speak out when practices are bad, but then the way they've gone about it is there's probably more constructive ways to go about it.
Yeah, it's what's frustrating is either she's lied about the pay for the attention that it will bring to the cause that she's talking about. Or, you know, there was a breakdown in communication, there was a misunderstanding and whatnot. And what's really frustrating in either scenario is that this is a discussion I think that we need to have about voice actors' pay and how it could be better. But we're not going to have that discussion based off of this because of how everything's gone down.
Yes.
Like, that discussion now is not going to happen. Which fucking sucks.
It does. Yeah. Like every position with video game development and production needs to be paid. You know what there isn't necessarily a market rate, but they need to be paid for the talent that they bring to the table, the effort and the heart they're putting into it. And you know, it's not necessarily for me to put a number on these figures because I'm not directly involved, and you know, I'm just an idiot who plays these things at the end of the day. But it's one of these where if the more and more stories we're hearing of people you know, having to take on multiple jobs to support their professional careers and all the rest of it because the rates are so low, then we need to do this. And with games getting more and more expensive to make, that's true, but they're also bringing in more money than they ever have done, kind of thing. So whether they can afford to take slightly less net profit in order to pay the people what they're actually owed, without the need for crunch and all the rest of it, I think that's a nice place we can be in.
If you're a game publisher and you're having trouble with the cost of creating video games, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. That's like a fucking car manufacturer saying, "Oh man, it's too expensive to make cars. Like we just can't do it anymore." I mean, it's your one job, so like that's the thing that you do. So figure it out.
That's it. Let's end on a happy story. with Apex Legends, if you want to take it away.
Apex Legends. Yeah, I got time for a couple of minutes on this. Apex Legends' next hero is trans terraformer and defensive conjurer Catalyst. This is from Matt Wells over at Ugamer, who writes, Respawn has shared first details of Apex Legends' 15th season, fucking hell, including a reveal for new hero Catalyst, the first trans legend to join the lineup. Second, ahead of its arrival on the 1st of November. Details of the new season, which Respawn is calling Eclipse, are light at present. No one needs to know that. For now, the focus is very much on new hero Catalyst, real name Tressa Smith, described as, quote, an experienced terraformer and defensive conjurer who uses her remarkable control of ferrofluid to manipulate the battlefield, end quote. Catalyst will be voiced by Melly Grant, and her backstory is revealed in the latest animated installment of Stories from the Outlines titled Last Hope. Bloodhound is non-binary. Bloodhound is also trans. But apart from that, great news story.
Yes, 100%. Representation matters in every single form. And we need to see the full spectrum of people and personas and whatever else they choose to identify as represented in media across the board, but especially in video games being the biggest media outlet in the world.
I mean, cool, yeah, definitely. Like, plus, it really pisses a lot of gamers off, as I found when I was looking at, like, when this all happened. So I was like, you did it. I love Apex Legends. Like, I haven't played it for, like, a year or two now, but, like, I love Respawn and what they do and what they've been doing with Apex. And I love the fact that they just don't give a shit. They'll just do something like this, and then it's just like, yeah, deal with it, bigots.
Yeah, 100%.
But a ferrofluid, they're going to, right, and you can take this for free, Respawn, because at some point, somewhere, she needs to refer to it, or someone needs to refer to it as gender fluid.
Yes.
I will buy a battle pass for a game I haven't played for 2 years if that's the case. Like, I'll throw money at that for that alone.
100%. Like, we need to support anyone who is on the journey transition or has transitioned or is thinking about transitioning, and making it a safe space for people to have those conversations if they need support during that process. And I think seeing people in prominent positions, such as characters in video games, is going to go a long way to that.
Definitely.
So I'm all for it, and I can't imagine a world where I would have the opinion otherwise. So yeah,
weird if you did.
Yeah, but there are a few weirdos out there.
There are 100 or 200.
But all we can do is educate them, and then leave them with the option to educate themselves and take inspiration from those and change their ways of thinking.
I do love how much better a person you are than I am.
No, it's one of these things that we have to do in a professional capacity. So I work for a company, and one of the things I'm involved with is something called the Diversity Task Force, which is the most aggressive sounding name in the world. But essentially, we're trying to make the automotive sector a more inclusive one and a more inviting one for people of all walks of life and things like that. And on Thursday of this week, I am doing a talk on pronouns and the use of them, and why they are brilliant, and why people should consider using them, and how it empowers not only people to embrace the person that they are and portray the person that they are themselves, whether it conforms or doesn't conform to the sociological norms, and to educate and inspire people to hopefully do the same. So it's something that I'm very passionate about. So to see stories like this in an industry that I love, in video games, is tip top.
Tip top. Tip top. I love it. Tip top. Yeah. That's the best place to end it. Tip top.
100%.
Tip top.
Take it away.
Okay, let's do some games out this week, or a few games coming out this week. On October 25th, Victoria 3 comes to PC. Yomawari Lost in the Dark comes to PlayStation, Switch, and PC in Europe, as I found out. That's only happening in Europe. Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and then a contender for one of the greatest names of a video game of 2022, Garbage Pail Kids Mad Bike and the Quest for Stale Gum comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC.
Amazing. However, with the speed that you read the last one, I thought you said Mountain Blade, and I thought that was the coolest name ever. Garbage Pail Kids takes the biscuit.
On October 27th, Saturnalia comes to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC, and PSA is launching for free on Epic Games Store. Signalis is coming to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC, and launches day one in Game Pass. Star Ocean: The Divine Force is coming to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Gunfire Reborn is coming to Xbox and also launches day one in Game Pass. Papercut Mansion is coming to Xbox and PC, and The Pinball Wizard is coming to Switch and PC. Lastly, on October 28th, Bayonetta 3 is coming to Switch, and Charon's Staircase is coming to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC.
Amazing.
Everyone expects me to be like super like obsessed with Bayonetta 3, which is fair. I mean, in my personality type, Bayonetta as a character. But
I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I think several people want you to step on them as well. So yeah, I can see what the parallels like.
Yeah, but and don't get me wrong, I'm going to be all in on Bayonetta 3 at some point. But Signalis is coming out this week.
Yes,
and so that was a Tribeca Games Spotlight nominee thing selection in 2021 at E3, and it looked cool. And then I played the demo of it summer, I think, just gone. And I played the demo. It's amazing. I'm so excited. And then they were like, and it's coming to Game Pass. And I was like, fucking hype. I don't even have to worry about buying it. So I'm very excited about Signalis, which is just overriding getting stepped on by a Bayonetta. Like, that's how excited I am about this game.
I can tell.
But yeah, Bayonetta. But we'll get to that. It's not like there's tons of really cool games coming out for the rest of the year. Like, there's plenty. I've got plenty of time.
Fine.
Plenty of time. November looks pretty chill, you know. Like
Ragnarok happens every other week. It's fine.
Exactly. Like God of War. Like, you know what? I've only liked 1 out of 4 of those games, Vitz. That's a poor batting average. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I mean, there was God of War Ascension as well, so it's 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5.
Or 7 if you count the PSP.
1 out of 7. Terrible.
There you go.
God of War, officially terrible game series.
There you go.
Is there anything like jumping out at you from games that are coming out this week, apart from Garbage Pail Kids?
Not especially, but then my heart is all in Final Fantasy XIV. So even if there was, like I said, I'm not going to get to God of War when it comes out because I'll still be playing that. So
that's fair. We won't be inviting you to review any games on the podcast for a few. What was it? 4 months?
Yeah, something like that.
January, February. All right, I'll see you in March. That should be that should be in time for Resident Evil 4, though. So.
Okay, yeah, we'd have that.
Yeah, we're going to be inviting more people onto the podcast for like 3-person things, which was, I know, and people are going to say, well, that's what you said last year. And it's like, yeah, well, blame Moody for that. He fucked off to go to Liverpool and fucking leave me here scrambling for podcast guests every week. So we're going to try again, and then he's probably going to end up getting a fucking job in Japan or something. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yep, then we go get to visit.
Yeah, as long as he pays for it.
Yeah, there is that.
Oh, man. Okay, let's do Open Critic head-to-head and then get out of here. This is the game we play every week where we try to guess the OpenCritic average of some upcoming games. Whoever guesses closest to the score gets a point. If you manage to guess the score correctly, you get 2 points. Last week, we tried to do 2 games. We did a Plague Tale Requiem. I guessed it would get an 80. Moody guessed it would get an 82. And at the time of recording, the Plague Tale Requiem has an OpenCritic average of 84.
Great stuff.
And we also did Gotham Knights. I guessed it would get a 71. Moody guessed it would get a 75. At the time of recording, it has a 70. That's 71 for days. Fucking livid. Whoever posted the latest review for Gotham Knights is dead to me.
Can we just say fair play to video game outlets for actually using the scale and having some low numbers in there rather than just saying it only ever go down to 7. There's nothing under 7.
Imagine using a full scale.
That's it.
So that means I get a point, Moody gets a point, which means things don't really change.
Yes.
My comeback is looking just a little bit less likely now. Amy 20, Moody 26, guests 3. There's
Let's see if
9.
we can bump that. Let's see if we can bump that average up. Let's go.
Yeah, the thing is, like, so I was 10 points behind at one point, and I've been catching up quite quickly. So it's like, if I can pull this comeback off, I'm actually trying for the first time in this game, like, because I'm like, if I can pull this comeback off, I can lord it over Moody for at least 3 months. You were 10 points ahead, Moody. What happened, Moody? What happened, Moody?
For non-kind of funny friends, that is a throwback to the one and only Nick Scarpino leaning over to Andy and going, "Andy, what happened?
Moody, what happened?" But this week
Great
we're gonna try and guess the OpenCritic average of Bayonetta 3. Moody, who is not here, has already put his score in. He reckons it's gonna get a 93.
Boy's crazy.
Bit high. To be fair though, the last game got a 91.
But
so I can see his thinking. I like if he was
people
here.
have been told to boycott this game now. So
if he was here, I can see exactly what he'd say. He'd be like, "Well, I think it's going to get a couple of points higher than the last one because I think it's going to be just a little bit better." That's what he'd say. It's a spot on impression. But anyway, Vitz, what do you think? Bayonetta 3, OpenCritic average.
I think I want to say it's gonna get an 82.
Okay, it's a nice
I
spread.
think. Yeah, I think it's not going to be rated as higher as the ones beforehand. It's been many a year since we've had a Bayonetta. I know people are clamoring for it, but I think it's going to be one of these where, yeah, it's not going to rate as highly. I think some of the recency bias of the controversy is actually going to have a negative impact on things in terms of Platinum and their potential practices that they're doing and all the rest of it. And I think that's going to drag the score down a tiny bit.
That's fair. That leaves me a nice big area to occupy in the middle because I was never going above 93.
Amy with a 70.
I was never fuck you, Bayonetta. No, I actually want to try and win. Because he updated the document earlier and I looked at it and I kind of was like. Like 93, interesting. But I mean, hey, like maybe it will get that high. That would be awesome. I mean, that would make it the second highest rated game of the year. But
the first being Elden Ring, or
yes, Elden Ring. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Second one is Norco, which is a great game. You should check out. It's just coming out on Xbox. It's in Game Pass.
Okay.
And I played it, reviewed it earlier this year, and it's one of my favorite games of the year. But awesome. the third one is Freshly Frosted, which is a puzzle game about donuts.
I mean, what's not to love?
I am a font of useless information.
The names what are we doing?
See, I don't know. I gotta try and split the difference, but I gotta do this smart because I need a point. Normally, I wouldn't give a shit, but I do give a shit. I'm gonna hit 90. I'm gonna hedge my bets. Platinum is such a weird studio where they can go from making like Bayonetta 2, which is like one of the most critically acclaimed games of like the last decade, and then make Babylon's Fall.
Yes.
And it's like, how did the same studio do both of these things? What the fuck is going on? But I think Bayonetta it's going to be one of their hits for sure. Yeah. I don't think they want to let it like do badly. But hey, it's for weird nerds who want to get stepped on by mommy. So
I mean, well, who doesn't want that? Let's be honest.
I don't know how much I should say here. That is going to do. At least if you get the point, I'm not going to get any further away from Moody. The comeback could still be on. So that's it. So like I got to get closer to Moody and try and box Moody out more than I got to box you out. Strategic. I'm playing strategically. Although to be fair, I'm crushing it in Fantasy Critic.
There you go. Amy playing 4D chess over there.
Moody had 2 games come out this week, and he got a grand total of 5 points. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here.
Sorry, Moody. I'm finding your downfall and all this hilarious. I don't know.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with Vampire Survivors that I got for $1. I got 14 points. Just like, what up, motherfuckers? And people go like, and our bids are fucking public. So like
Yeah,
anyone can see what anyone's bidding on. And I just look at sometimes and go like, you would at least Google what Vampire Survivors is, and then think, oh shit, maybe I should get that. It's a really popular game. And but I knew no one was going to pick it up. I'm the only person that pays attention to this shit. People are like, oh, Amy, like, you know so much about games. It's like, I don't. But what I do is I just read Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, if you hadn't heard of Vampire Survivors before, it does sound like the most generic game featuring vampires
Which
in
is
the
true.
world.
Yep. I ignored it for so long when it was out in early access and stuff because I was just like, yeah, whatever, Vampire Survivors. A lot of people talk about it though. And then that's when I'm paying attention. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna get me some points here. For sure.
Okay.
So I'm just looking up. We'll do a teeny little update. I'm now on 171 points.
Nice.
Second place, Elf Daughter, Queen of the Indie Games. I want you to know, Elfie, I took that personally in January. I've crushed you this year. I want you to remove that title next year. That's my decree as Queen of Fantasy Craig. She's on 115. Moody's in third on 112. Yeah, she had a game come out, which got some points recently. Mario and Rabbids. Oh, and she had a Plague Tale, so she just rocketed straight past Moody back in a second. She's got God of War as well.
Yeah, don't tell Moody.
She's got God of War, man. Moody's not even gonna finish second. Moody has Bayonetta 3.
Okay.
Somerville, which I don't think is coming out this year, but he's also got.
So one of our good friends, Rahul Hoop _ on Twitch and Twitter, they did a little bit of work with Somerville, so that's going to be. I think that's been pushed to next year.
Sure, that makes sense. I haven't heard about it for so long. But yeah, he's also got Callisto Protocol, Pentiment, and Signalis. So you know what? I think he's going to get a lot of points for those 3 games.
It does explain why he's put 93 down.
And for Bayonetta 3. Yeah. But I think even if he took all of those points from all of the games that he's getting, I don't think he's going to catch me.
No.
And I still got Pokemon to come out. And I still got Crisis Core.
Which, regardless of how the actual game is, will always review high.
It's going to give me at least 10 points.
100%.
And I've got Crisis Core. And I've got a really cool puzzle game called the Entropy Center. If you haven't heard of it, go look it up. It's a great game.
We do like a puzzle game.
But I've also got another space. These fools, they fell for it, Fitz. They fell for it. I left.
They fell for your trap.
I left a game in here that's not coming out. You can see the little symbol on my phone.
Yeah.
And I let them all think, oh shit, she hasn't got any drops left. Like her team's full. Wrong, motherfuckers. I have a drop left, baby. I still have a spot in my team. It's too easy. It's too easy.
So Need for Speed Unbound might be a safe bet for like 5 to 10 points, I think. So if you need a little cheeky something just to get you over the top.
I just need something to score me, like even 1 point, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've already got this in the bag. I'm not going to get tripped up by my counter picks because my counter picks have already been out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Need for Speed's a good shout. I think it'd be funny to get Sonic Frontiers. It's necessarily not a good idea. Like, how funny would it be to pick Sonic Frontiers? But yeah, I don't know. I've got a couple of ideas, a couple of thoughts. I was sort of hoping, I was thinking I get Company of Heroes 3 because I feel like that would review well, but then it got delayed. So
yeah.
But I got time.
Awesome.
I'll just pick a cool looking indie game, and then it'll get 69 on OpenCritic, and I'll be fucking livid, like Lake last year.
Oh yeah,
I was fucking furious when that game got badly reviewed.
People were raving about that game. Like
it was a good game.
It was crazy that people were raving about a game where it's so chill and you just go around, delivering mail for people and things like that. So yeah,
cool. You go on a date with the cute fucking girl that works at the video rental store, and it's like you just drive around and deliver mail, and then everyone's like, "Ooh." I guess it was, you don't get to shoot people in this game.
That's it.
You don't do anything. That's the point. How dare you?
we're taking a break from work to go move there because we're burnt out at work.
It's the most relatable video game I played in 2021. I'm so burned out. Let me just go and chill in this fucking little village where nothing happens. I want to do that in real life. Vits, it's time. We're done. Episode 326 is in the bank. Thank you very much.
It's been an honor. It's a pleasure as always. And I'm more than when the planets align and I'm able to come back, I'm more than happy to do so. And I'm forever thankful that you actually want me back on these things because it is the best fun.
I'm forever thankful that people still want to come back. But I do save the worst for Mooney.
Okay, that's good to know.
He thinks I do it on purpose. No comment.
There you go.
But that's left to do. That's left. We're done. I'm starting to lose the ability to form sentences. Well, let's get out of here.
You go get some rest.
Say bye, Fitz.
Bye.